Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 524. It is October 19th, 2017. My name is Nick Henderson. To my right is Christopher Guthridge.
Hey, what's up?
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Hello, hello.
And boy, do we have some pretty big games to talk about tonight. We'll be talking about Evil Within 2. Nolan's been playing, of course, South Park and the Fractured Butthole.
Fucking finally. Years after it's supposed to come out.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
You finished it yet?
No, unfortunately.
I mean,
I've been busy.
I think that's what you do when you're developing a South Park game.
Yeah.
You announce it, 2 years before it's actually.
Well, the first one had some delays too, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
Not like
it did.
like
a year
4
and a half.
Was it a year and a half?
It was a
Yeah.
long.
I remember
The
it being
first
a
one was
while.
bad.
Yeah.
The first one might have been a little worse than this one.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about it. And
Well-
we're also going to talk about that shitty EA news.
Yeah.
And
You mean
this-
any news out of EA?
Lately,
I didn't really have that frame of mind about EA. I kind of like I tried to be positive about things, but man, they may have crossed the line this time.
You've gone too far.
They may have gone
It must
to
be stopped.
exactly.
in Western game development, you either
Don't you
die at the hands
No,
of the
yeah.
publisher, or you live long enough to make first-person shooter DLC.
God damn it! I shouldn't. You started that sentence, and I was like, "He's about
Get
to
off
make
the podcast.
He's about to make a Dark Knight joke." Okay. You've
thought it was actually half
ruined the
decent.
flow.
And it's also very fucking true.
You've ruined the flow of this podcast because of that joke, Chris Davis. Thank you.
Wow.
First strike.
First strike. Strike 3 and you're out.
You're gonna find a way to do that in the next.
Get out of
2
this.
minutes.
Get out of here. Before we get started, there's a couple things. Of course, I would like to extend an invitation to everybody listening or watching that we have a Discord. We have a community Discord that we would love you all to be a part of. You can find us at discord.gg/4player. I don't know what Nolan's doing, but it's making me nervous. He's switching hats. Oh, of course. Oh, I think I know what he's got.
Mysterio.
Yeah, he's going to wear his South Park hat.
I forgot. It's sitting right over there in my closet.
Not gonna come through on the
Yeah,
camera
no
real
one
well.
no one can really tell what it is. But
That's fine.
he's wearing a South Park hat.
It's a Mysterion hat. Who is Mysterion?
You got that at E3, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
When I fucking saw South Park: The Fractured Butthole, not this past E3, the one fucking before that, back in 2016.
16.
There you go, yeah.
You're like,
How long
man, I
ago?
can't wait to play this game in 2016.
Yep.
Not happening.
Oh, was that when you were playing South Park with Thomas Middleditch?
No, I was playing For Honor with Thomas
Oh,
Middleditch.
yeah. You were playing Thomas Middleditch.
Yes, I was playing with Thomas Middleditch. All up in his middle ditch. No, when I got this hat was when I met Aisha Tyler.
Oh, that's right.
You live such a charmed life, Nolan.
Oh, man. I want to go ahead and open the show, of course, with feedback from the class. Oh, real quick. Something worth mentioning. This is not going to go into effect this week, but I should have it ready for next week. We're going to be kind of changing up the release schedule for the podcast in such a way that it will actually benefit supporters of us on Patreon. If you're in the $1 tier on Patreon, we are going to start, 1, releasing the podcast 24 hours earlier, and 2, it'll be ad-free. So that's something to consider. Of course, if you don't support us on Patreon, you'll get the podcast normal time. Usually it's going to go up Saturday morning. We record these on Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Friday, I should be able to have it up for patrons. The next day, I should have it up for everybody else, just because of the, I gotta edit all this and get it ready to go, and spacing it out like that will make it easier. So if you're a supporter on Patreon, starting with next week's episode, we should have it up to you the following morning after we record it. So just something to consider. We've also sent out all of our mugs to our supporters on Patreon at the $15 tier. I think most of them have got it already. I think a lot of people have been sending us pictures on Twitter and whatnot that they've got it. So I hope you guys enjoy the mug. Thanks for repping us in your places of business. It's wonderful. I see a lot of people having it on their work desk. That's kind of a cool thing.
Wish I had one on my work desk.
I'm gonna get you all one.
I had a work desk.
Oh my goodness, that's actually kind of funny. Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a
Joking
real,
about his
real
unemployment.
laugh
Yes.
riot.
Yeah.
the joke. You know what I mean. Anyways, feedback from our last episode. Of course, if you have anything you want to say after our conversations tonight, please leave us a comment at 4playernetwork.com on the post for this episode. We'll read it at the start of next episode, and that, of course, enters you in the drawing for our free game giveaway we do every single month. Our first comment this week comes from the legend JP. He says, as always, great show, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Why is that funny?
It's not. I'm just...
Sounded awfully fucking cocky.
It was weird delivery.
Just
Nick.
read his feedback.
I'm getting there. Can't agree more with the loot box discussion. Even if opening the boxes isn't going to be considered gambling, it should be clear that people are showing gambling behavior with them. I know people who have spent $1,000 to $2,000 on CS:GO loot boxes.
That is ridiculous.
Holy shit. That's opening boxes and doing actual gambling on sites. This was all before they even turned 18. There's kids younger than that opening cases as well. It's ruining games, in my opinion. Wish they would just go away. We had a long.
So I wasn't there for that
yeah,
conversation.
You missed the
It was
conversation.
fairly
So
lengthy.
So out of curiosity, what conclusion did y'all come to?
we kind of fell on the side of it's not really gambling.
I don't think it's gambling because no matter what, you pay money and you get something. That's buying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what we said. That it's
Okay.
not really
Gambling is when
Gambling-
you spend money for a chance to get something
more money,
more
right.
or nothing.
But you're also paying for something and you
Right.
don't know what you're getting.
You do that all
But-
the time. I mean,
Yeah.
there are multiple places where
We're
you
technically
can
gambling when we buy video games.
go to fucking
We-
Chuck E. Cheese.
we-
You're
we-
gambling there.
right. We pretty thoroughly discussed.
Okay, that's fine. We don't need to get into it.
The similarities between like loot boxes and like say booster packs and trading card games or like gotcha machines,
Sure.
or blind pack figures.
Yeah.
It is still a very predatory practice.
No, it definitely is.
Um,
I don't do it.
I mean, I
the
think
gambling thing is really sensitive.
The only-
because if in the States it gets labeled as gambling, that's just like a whole new can of worms.
The only time I think I've ever like purchased like loot crate box things
Yeah.
is in the little PUBG I played. There was a while where they were doing like special boxes that you could use in-game currency on to get, but you had to use real world money to buy a key to unlock them. But then the
Yeah.
items I got, I immediately turned around and sold
That
for
shit.
more money than I paid for the key. So
Yeah, that shit though, like the keys.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a Team Fortress 2 thing.
Yeah, when
they
TF2
went free
started
to play,
it. Mhm.
they would start giving you the crates for free, so
Yep.
they just sit in your inventory, and you'd have to look at them and then buy those keys to unlock them.
Yep.
That is some real shit. I think certain games implement it a little more tactfully, quote unquote, than
Yeah.
others. The practice as a whole is really shitty, and it's obvious that it only exists to make money.
Oh, of course,
There's no
yeah.
there's no creative or artistic reason for loot boxes to be
Nope.
part of any of these games' experience.
I think on the consumer's end, it's also like the fact that this debate has even become so prominent is kind of just a knee-jerk reaction in a lot of ways to people just generally being displeased with the
Getting
idea and the
butthurt.
concept, and like what's the most negative way we can try and label this, and that would be to say this is fucking gambling,
For sure.
because obviously it doesn't benefit the consumer in any way. I don't think there's anyone out there who would say I love loot boxes. I think this is
I
like
don't-
one of the best things to happen
I
to
don't think
games.
any
Like,
game
it's-
is necessarily improved by the
Yeah.
addition of loot boxes.
all right, well, we don't need to rehash that conversation.
Well, it's probably
Yeah,
going to come
but-
up again in it was a lengthy
mean,
conversation.
it's-
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up
It's
again in
on
another.
everybody's lips.
Yeah. So Drew327, he says regarding scary moments in non-horror games. That was one of our Patreon questions. I have a hard time with slow-ish moving enemies trying to get near me. I remember when first playing Ocarina of Time, leaving the Temple of Time as older Link, and the town
The
now had
Redeads.
these zombie-like creatures, Redeads.
Hated
Those things freaked me out big time. He's right. Those freaked me
I'm
out.
There's
fairly-
a lot going
I'm-
on there though that's freaky.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
not
that-
just the Redead.
I'm fairly
Like-
certain that if more so than not, kids were afraid of those things.
Yes, and
those were
yeah,
fucking
they're,
creepy.
they're still creepy, just not. They don't make me nervous really anymore. But I think that whole set piece of just like you put the sword in as a child, suddenly
Everything's
a light
bright and
flashes,
happy.
It's a complete tonal shift.
and then
Yeah.
the whole world, which
Yeah.
you are familiar with at that point, is completely changed.
Yeah.
And then to see something which was juxtaposed against like when you were a kid, like super happy, like the market
Bright
music.
and shiny and fucking flowers and
Like,
dogs prancing.
And like literally dogs prancing,
Yeah.
and like the market music, that da 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 da, like that,
Yeah.
like you're so happy, and then you go into that, and you come out, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like that whole situation was really cool. But yeah, I can see how that was.
And then
pretty
you're like,
creepy.
what's this thing? And it's like, "Wee!" And then you're frozen and it fucking
Yeah.
jumps on. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's
Play the
terrible.
Sun Song, man. Play the
There's
Sun
also
Song.
something about like older, like 64-bit, 32-bit era video game music when it's trying to be creepy. The low quality of it makes it even creepier. Like,
The Green Goddamn in chat says, I used to warp to Lake Hylia just to avoid walking through the town when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing when you go down into like the graveyard and you go into the grave and you have like the maze and shit down there and I think you're getting the slingshot maybe. I can't remember what
like
it is. Something down there, and there's a room with those things in it as well, and that always just
Yeah.
pretty much wherever those things pop up, they creep me out. So
worst.
good mention there. Piocht says, after hearing about the whole progression system tied to loot boxes in Battlefront 2, I feel like that is a worse implementation of loot boxes than in Shadow of War, because it's possible for people to actively pay for advantages over others in-game. You might still be able to earn them through playing, but that sort of thing seems like it has the potential to ruin people's experiences. So I actually am not too familiar with Battlefront 2's implementation of loot
there's
boxes.
still a whole lot of questions that are not particularly well answered yet. There was a thing that supposedly came out today that said that
Is this
yes,
all related
there's
to the
kind of
campaign
like
thing?
loot crate-ish star cards in the game.
Yeah.
But that you can actually recycle them and then combine them into new cards.
What?
You can, so any of the, like all the benefits that you get from the star cards, you can see in your like character screen when you go to your inventory.
Yeah.
And you can crunch star cards that you're not using for like whatever their crafting currency is, and then use that to unlock abilities. You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar to like how like Hearthstone does it, I guess. Like if you're opening loot boxes and you're getting shit that you don't need, you can always crunch it and then use it to craft what you do need. So I don't know if it's. I mean, it I think Shadow of War is worse just by virtue of the fact that it is a completely single player game.
Yeah.
And that just makes no fucking
Yeah, that is kind of
sense.
silly.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just, I
Like-
mean, Payday did it. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me because they never did loot crates or anything like that before, but they started
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also a very big part of the problem with Shadow of War is how they marketed it.
Yeah.
They did it in the absolute worst way they possibly could.
Did they also stick to the whole online connectivity required thing for Shadow of War?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't heard anybody. I
Haven't
feel like
played
the
it.
loot
Been in
box,
that
the
situation.
loot box thing has completely
I'm sure
overshadowed
you're always
that. But like,
online,
Yeah.
though, is the
Yeah,
thing.
I think it might because like I do seem to remember every time you log into the game, there's like a connecting to server like kind of bullshit.
and like if you disconnect from the internet, it's just gonna be like, can't connect. Sorry, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
That being
That's
said,
how Hitman was.
Damn it. That shit's.
I don't
lame.
know. I don't know that you cannot play if you're not connected to the internet.
Yeah.
But there are definitely certain things that you wouldn't be able to like. I mean, stupid shit that doesn't really matter. Like the only thing I can tell that really requires the internet
the online
connectivity are
nemesis contracts.
the vendetta. Yeah,
Yeah.
the vendetta contracts. So like, if an orc kills somebody that's on your friends list in their game, you'll get a vendetta contract to go kill that character. And I mean, it's
Interesting.
And
just
you
such
get a
a
loot
little-
crate out of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I've done one, and that's it.
L Cipher or E Cipher, I don't know how to say his name. The loot box discussion was very interesting to listen to. Personally, I'm fine to a certain degree with loot boxes in multiplayer games where it's purely cosmetic. Dota 2 is one of those games, and several years ago was probably the best free-to-play game with cosmetic-only loot boxes at the time. I remember for a while you couldn't get duplicates, but I think I heard that duplicates is now a thing.
Probably,
And over the
yeah.
last few years, Valve has become more greedy in the way they set up cosmetics and how you get them. Oh my god, he's really doing this. He's oh my god.
Being invaded.
Oh my god, we're being invaded right now. Oh my goodness. That is the funniest way to introduce this. Oh my god. I'm gonna pause the recording for just a
Tell them I was coming.
No.
No.
I'm gonna pause this for just a second. There's a baby
made
in the
that.
room. Oh my god. Well, look who's here, everybody. We've got a Belmont in the room.
Did you already start talking?
No,
No.
we're doing Patreon. What?
Yeah, he wasn't gonna be here, and then he last minute found out he could. Oh my god.
Check out that clean shirt. It's clean.
Is it?
For
He's
now.
wearing. Of course, had to wear the Metroid shirt, huh? Or what do we call that? Is that a onesie?
Yeah, you're not in that shot.
Oh my goodness! Surprise! Well, hello.
So this is Henry.
Yeah.
Nobody sick?
No,
Everyone sick?
no. But I will volunteer not to hold the
No,
baby.
feel free.
Oh man.
Pass
You
him
can't hurt
around.
him. Just hold his head up a little.
Oh man, I can't. First of all, I can't.
He likes
do
to
it.
dive sometimes.
I think
Toss the
it's.
baby.
I think it's doing it on the feed. It's just too much pressure. It's just too much pressure.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Henry Belmont signed.
Oh, I'm different.
Oh, we got new microphones, by the way. It might be a little.
He's
I don't think
He's
he-
trying to fight me.
Get him!
He's giving him this Popeye look, going like, I'm
then
not.
they smiled.
Oh,
They
there you go.
smiled.
All right, welcome back. Sorry about that small detour in the actual audio recording of the podcast. As you may have been able to tell, Brad has joined us.
Hello.
A new player has appeared on
me.
screen. Brad is back.
Yeah. No.
Well, for the next like 20 minutes.
I'm
or so.
visiting.
Brad paid us a visit. He brought his son Henry.
Yes.
And introduced us. That was our first time actually meeting Henry in person. So that was one. Thank you
Yes,
for.
he's a bit of a shut-in.
Well, thank you for
Not much of a
making the
social
drive
life.
and stopping by.
yeah.
I figure I've been watching. You've been playing some Evil Within 2, and I've been following you on Twitter and talking to you in Discord and whatnot.
Mostly Divinity, but yes, a
Yeah.
little Evil Within.
But we are talking about the Evil Within 2 tonight, so I figured it'd be a great opportunity to have you on to talk about it.
Wait. Oh, shut up. We're recording a podcast.
Actually, I don't think the
unprofessional.
microphones can pick up that far. I
Yeah,
think,
you'd be
but
surprised.
You never know.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome
Yeah,
back, Brad.
wife.
Oh God.
I don't think I've ever said anything to her while I was podcasting. Sorry. Hey, yeah, what's up, dude?
How's it going, Brad?
I just want to say on my Steam profile, it says I've played 160 hours of Divinity 2. I assure you that is not true. I've played maybe half that.
The other is just the computer waiting for you to come back.
I get home from work and I turn it on. I'm like, yeah, play some Divinity today. The baby's napping. This is cool. And then it's just on for the rest of the night, and I never actually play any of it. Just in the menu.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but
Well,
Evil
have
Within
you
2
been playing the Evil Within 2?
I have actually.
All right, so
How far are you, Brad?
I'm
I actually think
about
Brad and I are in
midway
this-
through chapter 6. I
have you
think.
gone into the theater yet?
No, I've kind of fully what I feel I fully explored.
Then we are actually in the exact same. We are in the exact same spot then, because I'm also in chapter 6 and I've been running around exploring town and whatnot. I have not gone into the theater.
I'm
So-
in chapter 3.
Yeah, Nolan's in chapter 3. So none of us have actually finished the Evil Within 2 yet. I actually plan on finishing
I'm in
the game.
chapter 6 of the first game.
Oh, did you talk about that on the podcast?
Yeah,
yet?
A little bit last week. I hadn't played
briefly.
that much.
Are you?
Oh yeah, I'm into it.
Oh, cool,
It's
cool.
fucking dope. It's a little buggy, and there's a couple things that I'm not crazy about, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really actually I'm surprised how into Evil Within I am.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Evil Within. So Evil Within 2. Very excited. I was very, very excited to play this game.
Yeah,
I
it was.
think most of us
coming
were.
off Evil Within, I think honestly, this is like for me, it's like probably the first original horror, like high-profile horror IP in a while that I've been super excited for. And then the fact that it even got a sequel was, wonderful.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite a few changes to this one. I think the most prominent, obvious change is going to be there are several chapters in this game that are straight up like open
World.
Yeah.
open town. I think is
Open
the
AF.
I've been avoiding like all the preview footage. There's been like a lot of footage kind of this game leading up to release of like, oh, we played an hour and a half, watch it. And I've avoided all that.
Yeah.
And I kind of heard that some of this stuff was in there, but I had no idea how
How open it actually is.
This is what like Silent Hill was
kind of
supposed to be, but not really.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when I was broadcasting, I've done a few broadcasts of this since it came out, and every time I'm running around the world, a lot of people have been saying, "Hey, this reminds me of certain aspects of Silent Hill Downpour." They always specifically named Downpour because that one was very much like this. Open stuff. You can go in and out of houses and buildings and stuff, and inside of those houses and buildings, there are like isolated stories or events that kind of happen, and that was very much the way Downpour is set up. So, and I really like that game. I know that's kind of not everybody loved that game, but like
yeah,
this
you
game
were like one of the few that I see champion that game.
Yeah, and
I've actually considered going back to that, but a lot of the shit I hear a lot of bad things about that game actually. So I don't know.
That's understandable. And the thing is, if you like the openness about Evil Within 2, it's not guaranteed you're gonna like Downpour, because the thing about Downpour, you're going in and out of buildings exploring because you want to find like creepy shit or story shit, but like this is like you need to because you need fucking resources.
You don't need to.
Definitely.
You want to. Like everything is so desirable. You open up those skill trees. You're like, I want all of this stuff. Dude, I need to kill everything.
So much goo to get some of those good skills. It's like I'm looking at the skills. I'm like, okay, increase my speed. Okay, do this. If you're close to somebody, you can get like a stealth kill from far away. 80,000 goo, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm saving up for the slow mo.
Yes,
because that one seems
slow mo shooting.
Yeah,
one?
the thing is, you mentioned that in Discord earlier, and I was like, what slow mo? And then I looked at the screen. I was like, oh fuck,
and use the stamina.
Yeah,
like you could almost make a build. Like if you put all your points into stamina, get the skill with the slow mo, and then there's the skill where like each successive shot will like do more and more damage.
Yeah.
You combine that with the slow mo, and like you could probably really like fuck some stuff up if you do it right.
That sounds like a bit of an improvement over the first.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I mean, I feel like all Mikami games have like pretty satisfying, like at least since Resident Evil 4, pretty satisfying like upgrade systems. But like here, I just think it's even better than the last game.
That sounds like the kind of upgrade system that's like starting at a baseline and getting cool. Whereas I feel like in the first game, it's starting below baseline at like shit.
It might still be like that
better. Because like I've upgraded accuracy on that pistol at least once, maybe twice, and I still get instances where I've got the fucking reticle over somebody's head and I fire and
that was kind of an issue with the first game.
God!
All right, so it's funny. First of all, well, you're playing on the PC, the first one.
But I'm playing with a controller.
And Brad, are you playing Evil Within 2 on PC or PS4?
PC.
Okay, so
I'm using a controller.
I'm the only one playing on. Okay, so you are using controller. So I just want to kind of briefly slip this in here since we're talking about gun accuracy. So, and I saw you mention this on Twitter the other day, but like that, there's a shooting gallery.
Oh, I use the mouse
Evil Within 2.
I use the mouse. For that.
I do. I'm not using a mouse. I'm playing on PS4. And yesterday I beat everything with the exception of the final tier of very hard difficulty you should get.
You know, there's a slowdown thing, right?
Yeah, you have to hit the clocks, whatever. And I got really close to getting that thing, but like when I started, I couldn't hit shit in that, and like it's actually pretty impressive. It's tough as fuck, but like when you actually start getting through those, you instantly kind of see your improvement out in the world.
Sure,
like you start.
When do you find
shots.
that shooting gallery?
I think it's right about. You're probably about to unlock. It's It's really a situation where you go back you go through the mirror and you're back in your office, whatever, and there's like, there's a door there that wasn't there before.
Okay, cool.
And there's a shooting gallery in there.
Nice. I might
there's
try
a puzzle mode too.
Oh, dude, the puzzle mode is so addicting.
It's cool because it's what's the puzzle game where you like click on a color and all the colors that are attached to it disappear.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, I don't know what.
I know what you're referring to, yeah.
And then you're trying to create big combos by making that space of a single color even bigger.
Yeah.
And it's all timed and you're hitting like the time things. That's pretty satisfying because it's a puzzle game combined with, aiming. And I feel like
I have barely been able to
replayable. Like the scoreboard and the rewards on that go real deep. And I've only gotten the first few.
I can't seem to get much higher than 60,000 points, but it goes up to at least 100,000. I know.
There's probably some tricks to it.
Yeah.
Not Bejeweled. Yeah, maybe like Bejeweled.
Yeah, I think I saw a few people mention Bejeweled when I was doing it on the feed.
Isn't Bejeweled like a match?
I think it's the same concept.
This is not a match.
Bejeweled's a match. Yeah.
It's
a match.
This is something different.
This would be like Bejeweled on crack. You're like
but I've
matching
definitely seen this style of puzzle game before.
Yeah. I just wanted to slide that in there because I thought it was actually a really cool addition and it's really fun. And I found myself last night getting really addicted to it.
The open world stuff about this game is by far like its most exciting and compelling thing for
Dude,
me.
it gets insane just because like it seems like around every corner there's more shit going on. Whereas it was in the first game, you're in like hallways and okay, once you go through it, you're done.
Much more
but in
linear.
this, it's like you'll enter a house and okay, cool, and then you'll go back out and right where you were earlier, there's more shit there now. Like I remember this one where like I fucking go back and where there was a dead body, someone's dragging it out into the street, and I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't there earlier. Like it gets pretty intense.
And they managed to still do some like pretty cool scripted stuff in the world, like the kind of stuff you would see in a more linear horror game like the first game or like a Resident Evil. Modern Resident Evil.
Give me a break, Crispy.
No.
I was off my.
That
I was
happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's great.
Sucking it up.
Yeah. I got my ass kind of handed to me in this
Or
fight.
like where you fire the explosive bolt at an enemy while it's charging you, and then it gets in your
and then
face
you
and
immediately
explodes.
regret that decision. Yeah.
One thing I do want to mention while I'm thinking about it is in those safe places, I have loved the addition of the coffee pot.
Oh,
I think that's fucking brilliant.
It's cool.
So in this, Chris, because it's not the first game, whenever you go to a safe spot, there's a coffee pot, and if you drink it, it will just completely heal you.
Really?
Here's the catch. You have to wait for the coffee to brew afterwards.
Oh,
so you can't use
so
it.
fucking cool.
It
And
is.
it's like-
and there's like a little timer on it.
And you can see it like it's an empty bar, and
you
then
just,
it'll
like,
like
sit there
green
and wait
bars.
You
for
could.
it, and
You
then just-
could. Yeah,
But
I mean,
it's like a really long time.
you're also already at full on health, though.
Is
I mean,
it? I mean,
because there's no other way to get your health outside of items.
yeah.
without like giving too much away. Does the safe space work kind of the same way? It does
It's
in the
pretty
first
similar.
game?
but,
yeah.
but you got to think of it in like an open world structure, and it becomes kind of like a thing. Now, you know, other horror games, I mean, other open world games have this where you're unlocking kind of like new bases or like operations, like or places where you can like maybe
Outposts.
do outposts
Yeah.
and stuff, for example. But in the context of a horror game, it's that like I really want to get this next outpost so I can do more stuff around that
You
part's
wanna-
house.
you wanna
But,
make
like,
progression.
there's horrifying shit in between you and that.
So one of the cool things about this is they added this radio mechanic where you can listen in, and you've seen Nick do it a few times in the footage, where you can listen in and it will give you clues as to things in the world. And like Brad was saying, one of them is like outposts. So you can find out about an outpost further on in the open area. So you're like, oh shit, do I make my way there now? Do I try and backtrack? I really want to get there? So yeah, I can have a safe
do a
place
lot
to
of, like, running
explore
back,
around that safe place.
It reminds me of like a Souls game almost. Not
Yes.
as like intense,
It's-
but like where you're kind of inching out further and
like
further
the
and further
risk of
until like
getting-
I think I can make it to this next safe house. I'm gonna go for
The
it.
risk reward.
Yeah. Now,
I
one
mean-
thing I want to point out, and first of all, I do love the openness of it. I think
dope.
it's fantastic. But what I loved about the original Evil Within was it was much more linear, but they were constantly hitting you with like really weird, trippy, like mind fuck.
I hear a lot of that stuff comes later in this game.
Sure, and I don't doubt it because I think it's probably going to get more and more linear as the game goes. But
does.
there are still those moments, but they're not really out in the open world. You usually go into like a house or a building,
That's
and then
cool
shit
because
like that
you don't
happens.
know when it's gonna happen. It'll be like you go into a house that's like any other, but then as you're leaving, all of a sudden the door doesn't open. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
But
some
but
shit's going down.
So, but like one of the coolest thing, and I'm gonna try and use vague terms here, so I don't spoil anything. But I went into a house, a thing happened. I encountered a new enemy or a new creature of sorts.
A ghost, maybe.
Maybe. I was
haven't
trying to
seen
use
this
vague terms.
Whatever. I mean, it's a horror game.
I know.
Ghost, zombie, whatever.
I encountered what you would probably call a ghost. And then I did this shit or whatever, I left the house. And then I was walking around in the open world, and suddenly the ghost is in the middle of the street. And I was like, what the fuck? And I look over at chat, and chat's like, you let her out. And I was like, oh my god, I let her out. And she just randomly appears in the world now.
There's random moments and scripted moments, and I think it's completely optional.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It
So
is.
that
But
makes
also,
me
here's
think-
like so the first time I saw her outside of that house, it was in the middle of the street, right? And I was like, oh shit. So, but you have a wide berth, you can kind of get around her fairly, you can run away. But then I literally went into there's like a little tiny shack that has a crafting bench in it. I went into the crafting room, whatever. But when this ghost appears, like this thing that signifies that she's there is everything starts to get cold.
Oh.
Like you start to
See
see
your
your breath.
breath, yeah.
Things start to get kind of like that blue tint to it, and you're like, what the fuck? And I was in this tiny little fucking shack, and there was like no room for me to move. And I was like, where the fuck is she? And I can hear her like shuffling around and making her little moaning noises. But I was like, there's nowhere for me to go. So I literally just had to bolt out of the spot and run towards the exit. Yeah. And as soon as I got out of the house, she disappeared, whatever. And I never even saw her, but I knew she was there. And like that shit, like they do shit like that, and you never really know what you're gonna see. And that's where I think this game really shines.
So that reminded me of I played it during Horror Week. I never got a chance to talk about it on the show because I missed the podcast last week.
Yeah.
But I played a game called White Day, a labyrinth named School.
Yes.
And I originally played it a couple of years ago, but then they re-released it on Steam, and I was playing it.
You talked about that on the podcast.
And so one of the creepiest fucking things in that game was there was this ghost that would follow you throughout the game, but you could only see it out of your peripheral vision.
Oh, I remember you talking about that.
So if you didn't look at it, you couldn't see it. You had to look in the corner of the screen, which was fucking horrible because it would follow you everywhere. But now that I knew that was a thing, in this game, I found a note, and it talked about, this girl that like loved a boy or something, but he didn't like her, and she wrote him this note, but he didn't take it, and then she killed herself or something. And so now, like, if you like have that love letter, she'll chase you. And then I found a love letter. I'm like, I'm not picking this up. It just said love letter. Didn't fucking interact with it, and she never chased me. And I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't interact with that. Otherwise, I would.
See, I love shit like that.
Yeah.
Real quick, just since it's happening on screen here while we're watching it, you may have noticed. One of the coolest things I think in this game is, so you may have noticed, like, there was a red barrel, which you can shoot, obviously, to make a big explosion, or you can kick it over, and the oil starts to leak out in the ground, and then you can shoot it. You'll see me right here. You can actually shoot the gas while things run through it, and it just ignites.
I'm
and
just curious why
boom, like, look at that.
I'm just curious why you didn't pick up that brain goo.
Yeah, well, that's kind of freaking me out.
Dudes
no,
around.
it's mostly because there's like 20 dudes in this area, and this is one of those situations where you have to like kill all these enemies before you can move on. So I literally take out 20 dudes and I just go around and pick it up.
Upgrade the shock bolt because it knocks everyone down. Like you upgrade how many people it shocks, it knocks everyone to the ground, and you can just run around and stomp.
Okay, so I had a really funny moment the other night because I didn't.
The knife is terrible. I'm surprised you're using it.
Well, sometimes you can get like
it's horrible.
A quick kill with it.
It's horrible.
But here's the thing.
I would love to have a knife.
I hope this moment gets highlighted and posted because I had this moment the other night. I didn't read the description of the shock bolt. You can also kick the things off fire hydrants and create a pool of water in the street and then shock the water. There was an enemy running towards me. One of the I'm just gonna affectionately call them the witch because there is straight up. There is an analog for like every witch. Enemy in Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead,
like literally a witch. Behaves the same, looks the same. There's a
horrifying.
Witch. Horrifying. But there's a witch.
She's kind of sexy.
I lure her over to me. I have her run through the water. And there was an enemy laying on the ground, also in the water. So I shoot the electro bolt into the water. Shocks! I swear to God, they're frying for like a minute, just and like electricity going, everything just pops, and I was like, "Oh, this is so satisfying!" And then it just stopped, and they just kept coming at me, and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't kill them; it just stuns them, and gives you a chance to kill them."
Did it knock them over?
No, they just like fried for a minute, and then they ran at me. So I started shooting at them. I swear to God, I shot them like 5 or 6 times with a shotgun, pulled out my pistol, shot them a few times, hit them with an axe, didn't die. It's like I jump started their heart or something, and like. I died. I couldn't kill them, and people were laughing their ass off because I just like, I thought
it a glitch.
That
I doubt it.
It must. I think it had to have been.
I guess.
I almost used all of my ammo trying to kill them.
I feel
the
like
witches are pretty sturdy,
But actually, I think
you can stealth kill them.
I think you actually see a
Stealth
witch
stab 'em twice.
at the end of this footage at some point.
I feel like
you-
that's how every combat encounter in the first game goes.
Yeah.
Though. It's like you only have a handful of bullets and you need all of them to kill one guy, but there's like 3 guys.
I'll say this: you're still probably in like the first third of that game or the first half.
I'm halfway through.
I'm starting to feel in this game, and you feel it in the first game for sure. Like you start to feel really powerful.
Oh,
As
towards
you
the end,
upgrade
yeah,
your
you
shit.
do,
Especially like with your crossbow and
That's
stuff. Like
good.
I love how like fucking useless I felt with just a pistol with hardly any ammo to like now where I'm really kind of starting to build. I don't have like plentiful ammo, but my stuff is
You have
starting
enough to get
feel a lot
by.
more powerful.
Yeah.
Like my crossbow. The only thing is I upgrade my harpoons all the way, and now I can't find any materials to make any harpoons. It's frustrating the hell out of me. I have the flaming harpoon and I can't find the shit. I do like how the crafting mechanic is if you're at a workbench.
I like that.
If you're out in the world, it takes twice as much materials to craft something.
You can, like, craft
you
on
can
the
stuff
run.
on the fly, but it takes up more
Twice as much
materials.
material.
So it's like this really
kinda
tough
like-
choice of like, dude, I could really use another shock bolt right now, but it's going to use like twice as many materials and kind of having to make that decision.
Or you can make it back to a safe
Yeah.
house.
Or like sometimes you'll find workbenches just like in the warehouse as well too. So if you can find those, they appear on your mini map, and it just seems well designed. The open world aspects for sure.
I've got to be honest. I'm really glad to be hearing all this because when I was playing the first one last night, there were several people in chat who were like really down on the sequel.
Really?
Just like, I love this game. Like, why did the sequel
Can we talk
suck?
about some
Like,
comparisons? Because, grant, I'm on chapter 6. The game's pretty I hear like 20 hours long or whatever, and I think there's like 13 chapters.
I think
or
17
something.
actually is what I heard.
17.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it's that many.
I could be wrong, but
But there are aspects of the first game that I do think are better.
Lost.
To some extent.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been too impressed with the bosses I fought. I think there's some really memorable ones in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm still kind of early.
Like,
I only fought a few.
have you gotten to the merry-go-round yet?
No.
Like, that's fucking
Okay, first of all,
I miss
amazing.
those kinds of set pieces
Yeah.
too. Like there's combat set pieces in the first game that aren't as much here. You would think that cool, it's open world and that's why.
Yeah.
And there's a few like scripted stuff that seems pretty cool. But even in the linear stuff, I noticed like when you're down in the marrow, that stuff's not as inventive as some of the encounters.
And so
in the first
that's
game.
something I think of unfortunate because I love the concept of the marrow.
Yeah.
Like I think that's fucking amazing.
I hear it gets more fucked up.
Does it? Okay.
As you progress.
Also,
So
I
that's
do want to
kinda cool.
tell Crispy this, and I know I every time the Evil Within comes up, I kind of use this opportunity to mention this again. But like, if you end up finishing the game and really enjoy it, please play the DLC, because easily I think the best boss in this entire
like
series.
3 of them, right?
There's two single player DLCs, like story based ones,
okay.
and the second one has, in my opinion, the best boss fight of any Evil Within content that I've played so far. And actually, I fought the first boss, quote unquote, in Evil Within 2. Not super impressed. Second boss reminded me of that fight.
Which I thought that you're talking about the camera.
Yeah.
Which I thought seemed like a cool premise, but I was still kind of running around.
The
just
premise
shooting
is
it
still
until it died.
the premise is, I think the execution is maybe better in that boss fight I'm alluding to in the first game's DLC, but like the tension was there. It was just not your average like, here's a boss, shoot it until it dies. I mean, you're still technically
Sure.
doing that, but there's more. There's an element to it that is more puzzly, kind of.
As much as I like the open world stuff, and I think it's like a really cool step for like maybe the horror genre to have such a well constructed open world. Like you kind of start getting the strengths of open world design that you see in other genres is kind of coming into this game, and I've never really seen open stuff that strong in this genre before, or at all really.
Yeah.
He said there's some in Downpour, but that you have this urge to explore because all the rewards are really like everything is really like feeds into like really satisfying systems. So
That's interesting you say that because I've been playing a lot of Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Which is another open world
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how much I kind of don't give a shit about open world games anymore.
Yeah.
That's because they've overdone it.
They've gotten and not only that, but they're so like I guess especially ever since like maybe even Skyrim, like they're so worried about providing this like endless amount of like sandbox fun that the fact that it's open world kind of becomes meaningless.
Well, I think it becomes repetitive. You start doing mundane tasks.
Right.
It just becomes kind of like boring, I guess. And that's honestly, I used to be the hugest fan of open world games, but lately I've been finding myself enjoying the smaller games much more because it's like, it's more dense.
I definitely see-
do the
I
things that are
definitely
fun
agree with
and
you.
you're.
I just feel like open world games have gotten to a point where the scope of the world doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like the scope has been downplayed by all these other mechanics that they add, and it sounds like open world for a horror game would be particularly effective because that scope makes it much more it's a big world that is fucking dangerous.
So
and
hold on.
scary.
So yeah,
Like,
that's what I wanted to talk about. Is it like in something like even like Breath of the Wild? Well, it's just there's lots of nothing.
Breath of the Wild was really good.
No, I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good game.
don't talk shit
I'm
about
just
Breath
saying
of the
there's
fight
big
you.
sections where nothing really goes on, and I feel like this game does a good enough job of having linear sequence, open world that's not too big. It's not like you can't spend 12 hours in it.
I
You
think
have to. There's still a finite amount of time.
I
you
think
can
it
spend there.
exemplifies the benefit or the appeal of having smaller open areas.
Right,
Yeah.
but when the game does open up and you're in a larger area, it like actually fucking means
Yes,
something.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's also a nice mix too because The Evil Within 1 I think is fantastic. It's way more linear. Well, the whole thing's linear, but like they do some crazy cool shit in those linear moments, and they're like, we don't want to get rid of that, so let's find this nice mix, and I think they've done that really well so far. Like the stuff where they start fucking with your mind and you're going into like set piece areas and there's crazy shit happening. I still love it. It's so fucking cool.
Other aspects though that I missed from the first game, there was the first one had a really cool look to it. Like there was like a grittiness to it.
Yeah.
that I feel like is missing to
Tatiana.
some extent from this game.
Yeah.
like they definitely kind of went
I
with a
actually
different
started
art
by turning the
style.
grain down, and then last night I was like, something about this kind of feels off, and I cranked the grain all the way back up, and I was like, this is not as strong a grain as like this or even something like Silent Hill, but like it's enough that like I see the appeal or I see why that grain effect is so effective, and I was like, okay, I turned it back on
Like I
immediately.
like some of the enemy designs from the first game are really memorable. Hopefully, there's some cool stuff in this game I haven't seen yet. I'm still in the first half.
I found that monster you were talking about in Discord the other day, the one the goo.
Yeah,
That
I didn't
was
know what was going
fucking
on there. That
weird.
seems so random.
Dude, they're so but it's going to be important.
Yeah,
Because
but like I want to kill everything because I want the goo. I want the green goo.
Also-
because I want to upgrade my shit. But I was like,
Green goo.
is there a way to kill this thing?
I think the appeal also of the open areas in this game is kind of like, and why I think Downpour is really appealing was suddenly you're playing a horror game and there are side quests.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like,
Like
Oh,
there
yeah?
are literally side quests. You can talk to people
Are
and,
they, like,
and
worthwhile?
find
One
things.
thing with like the radio, you can find random shit happening on the radio and then go and investigate
oh,
that.
Yeah.
that's cool.
and like that's how you stumble
Fuck.
across half the shit. Like I spent 6 or 7 hours in chapter 3 alone, which is just a big open area, and I didn't do any like official story related stuff. I was just walking
And
around.
that's
finding
where I'm
cool
at
shit.
now. Like, for an example, Crispy, like, oh, I found a signal about these guys who like took off or whatever, and I find them, but they had all died. But it's like, oh, and I found a sniper rifle. Ah, but it's broken. I got to find the other piece to fix it. And so that kind of sends me off on this quest,
Yeah.
trying to find this piece of this sniper so I can fix
And at
it
the
and have
end
a
of the
sniper.
tunnel,
Things to do.
and at the end of the tunnel, there's usually rewards like
Yo, no,
new
definitely,
weapons.
yeah.
and-
Man, I really want to fucking play this.
I'm
game.
so glad this game is so different than the first
Yeah,
game.
no, it's
Because,
refreshing.
It seems like they really tried some interesting, different things, and it is a different director. The director of this game is actually the director of the DLC from the first game.
Oh, well, that explains a lot, actually.
yeah, and Shinji Mikami's just in the producer role.
Yeah.
But like I'm kind of glad for it. Like as much as I really wanted that polished, like I always was excited about Evil Within 2 from the moment I finished the first game, because I was like, this game is really, really great. I really like the first game, but it's super rough around the edges. If they just had another chance at this, I know that it could be a lot more polished. They can kind of refine what they learn, like like what happened with some of the Resident Evils and stuff. Like look at Resident Evil 2, where they Hideki Kamiya kind of refined what Mikami did in the first game, and it was even more memorable. This game surprised me with how kind of different and interesting it is, and I'm really glad.
You're right, and the thing is, like, the first one I think had like such a distinct. Oh, there's the coffee pot.
Yeah.
Yep.
the coffee
Had
pot.
such a
He has, like, a
distinct
green bar on it.
look to
When you
it.
drink it, it'll go red.
Like here's one thing I was trying to put my finger on what was bothering me with the look of this game, and I think it's a great looking game, but the first game, the contrast was so high. Like all the dark, like the blackness
It
of
was
the game
very
was
yeah.
super dark, and the lights were
I
super
love
bright.
the look of it.
This game, it feels a little more washed out.
yeah, it's definitely washed out.
That's kind of part of a larger thing that I was talking with people about last night, in that some people seem to be of the opinion that the sort of aesthetic design of this game is a little flatter, a little
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it
more
is.
subdued.
For sure.
I've also noticed that vests have gone out of style
Yeah.
since the first game.
Yeah, it's true.
By the way, here's a witch coming up.
There is a part in this game where like he looks in a mirror and he sees like himself from the first game, and I'm like,
Oh!
man, I missed that outfit.
Oh
Yeah,
God!
right?
Did you so there's also a bunch of Easter eggs in this
I'm
game.
sure there'll be DLC with that outfit.
There's a witch.
There's a bunch of Easter eggs in this game. One of just there's one point where like they say like they mention Beacon, right, which is the mental hospital from the first game.
Sure.
And you have like a quick flashback, or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, it's Beacon." I'm back in Beacon or whatever. And I noticed the bars. What's my the
letterboxing is back.
Came back.
Yeah,
nice.
just for he's like,
I
it's
didn't
Beacon,
notice that.
and the letterbox was there. And I was like, did they put the letterbox in there as a joke? And then I went back to the world, it was gone. I was like, those motherfuckers.
Did you turn it off? You're playing the PC
I turned
version?
it off. Yeah.
Okay. It was a weird choice, but like I would never want it back.
But it's so funny they took it out in this game, but then they like use it as like a jab at themselves. Like, hey,
Can you adjust the FOV in the console version?
You have some options.
Zoom that shit all the way out.
I don't know if that's one of the actual options. I know you can adjust the HUD and stuff. I haven't really.
Because one of the problems with the first game is you're just so close to your character.
Yeah.
It takes up so much space. But in this one, you can slide that FOV way out.
At least on PC.
On PC, at least.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
especially bad when you get into those like scripted moments where you have to do something before it'll let you progress, and they like push the camera in even farther. It's
Yeah.
like literally the top of his head is at the top of the frame, and like his shoulder blades are at the bottom of the frame.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I do want to be clear here that I'm really high on this game right now.
Yeah,
but
me too.
But I still have certain expectations for this as a sequel to the first Evil Within, which means I want to see some really damn good bosses, and I want to see some really interesting level design and kind of set PC
I wanna see more
combat scenarios in the linear parts of the game.
I wanna see
because
more
I can forgive it
mindfuckery.
in the open world stuff, and there is some cool stuff, but yeah.
I want to see more of that mindfuckery too.
Which I know we will, because
Yeah.
from the early trailers I've seen of this game, there's some real trippy shit.
I mean, the thing is,
So-
the marrow itself is in and of itself is mindfucking.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're in a horror matrix.
Yeah.
It's the Matrix, but horror. I don't think I found that one.
Yeah, there's a statue there. You should go get that.
I don't know if I know that. How's the story?
I'm actually. I mean, it's, first of
Because
all,
like I'm kind of getting what's going on in the first game, but it's like
the goal.
It's a lot more
there is
straightforward.
never a moment where they're like stopping to explain anything to you.
And
It's
that
just
game,
kind of happening.
first of all, when the first game ends, you'll have a little bit more of an idea of what this all is, but like you'll still be pretty confused.
I mean, I
this game, the motivation in this game is way more cut and dry.
No, it's
when
very
you talk
forward.
about
Yeah.
this being a horror matrix, I'm starting to get to the points where they're like,
Oh yeah, you haven't really grasped the idea of what's even happening.
like
so.
I just saw the part last night where there was like a big machine with like these people
Yeah.
plugged into it.
Okay.
But they haven't like
They'll-
they'll show it to you and then shove
I mean,
you
I
into
gotta
a
be honest
combat.
with you. I have no
scenario.
idea what happened with the story of the first game.
Yeah.
It's balls crazy.
I mean,
here's a
more or
little
less,
straightforward.
more or less,
Okay, so
more
it
or less
doesn't
what
really-
you just said about them being hooked up to a machine and a
So this is the cool thing.
crazy
idea of the
fucking
marrow.
person.
The marrow.
A psychotic person got
You
into
interact
the
with
thing
like
and
computers, and it takes you to this like essentially like a digital dungeon that you go through. And
But
it's like
that's
a
how
quick,
it's connected,
Yeah,
because
it's
the
a-
world is all broken apart. So
I
it's like
guess so.
at one point it's like you need to get to City Hall, and they're like, well, where's City Hall? He's like, look up, and it's like on another like floating piece of like land in the sky. So and they're like, oh, you got to go through the marrow to get there.
So you basically
that's so fucking dope.
It is pretty cool.
Oh my god, I want to play this game.
This is tickling Crispy's balls.
so. Oh, the marrow, I guess, because it's like it runs through the bones.
There we go. Yeah. But when you go into the marrow, it's kind of like you're in like an underground tunnel of sorts. But some weird shit
Yeah,
happens.
definitely
I
some
hear
weird
it gets
shit.
more fucked up the more
Good.
you play, which is
Good.
exciting.
Yeah. No, I'm super digging it. So I'm
There's dialogue trees, not trees, but
Yeah.
like it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like they were really going for something different here, and I like I can make choices in how I talk to someone.
But it's also
or
one
not
of those,
how I talk, but
it's
just
it's one of those things where it's like they give you dialogue options, and then it's just like, well, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna say all of these
yeah,
things.
you just say
You're
all
never
of it.
gonna
It's
like
just getting
not say
talking
something.
to people, getting information. But it even goes into that back and forth like Mass Effect style, like I'm gonna talk and then you're gonna talk.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Like I would like them to make this a full like on horror RPG. Well, but
They're getting close.
Well,
They're getting
the sad
closer.
part is I think this game bombed, which
Yeah,
isn't
it's
too
not,
surprising.
That's the thing that sucks.
I mean,
it's not doing
I
as
get
well.
the feeling this is gonna end up kind of like Dead Space, which is funny. We'll bring that up later. But like in terms of like, it got 1 or 2 sequels, and then you'll just never hear from it again.
Yeah.
But I'm,
Bethesda is not. Dishonored underperformed, Prey underperformed, this underperformed. Like I'm worried they're just gonna go back to like if Wolfenstein. I think Wolfenstein's gonna be fine.
yeah.
They've been
But
marketing
like
the shit out of
They're
it.
gonna go back to like, you know what? Fuck all this. We're just gonna do Elder Scrolls.
Well, I mean, the thing is, that if they make another Elder Scrolls, and if that funds the next 10 years of these kinds of games, I'll take another Elder Scrolls.
Dude,
please.
what if by the time they get to making a new Elder Scrolls, that underperforms?
Oh no! Don't say that.
Fuck off!
Then
We're gonna
what
talk
happens?
about. We are gonna talk about this exact thing in the second.
I just
segment.
hope Bethesda isn't like EA and they shut down Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, that would suck.
That's what EA would do. Right.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. But yeah, that's Evil Within 2. I'm planning on actually just this Saturday just plowing through this game and getting to the end, hopefully. Although it's based on how easy it is to get distracted, that might not happen the way I see it, but we'll find out. Is there anything else you want to say, Brad? Before
Divinity is incredible.
Divinity 2.
I've had like 4 hours of Metroid. That's just my life.
I've played 3 hours of Metroid.
Yeah. I mean,
It's pretty good.
Which Metroid?
Samus Returns.
Okay.
I played it on my trip, and I really enjoyed it.
The one
I
that
just,
you already finished and forgot about.
The one I finished long ago.
Yeah.
it's okay so far. It's not the most memorable Metroidvania so far, but
it's cool though.
it
I'm digging
has
it.
cool parts too.
All right. Well, I think I guess you gotta head out.
I
Brad.
got to roll.
Thank you for stopping by.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah,
But thank you for bringing Henry and introducing him to the show and to the good people out there watching our show live.
It's a well-made baby.
Y'all done good. You made a good baby.
It's all right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this recording for a second while we say bye to Brad, and then we'll
Okay.
come back and finish it up. So bye, Brad.
Y'all can keep going. I'm just gonna slip out. Chris Davis can slip right in, but whatever.
Flip.
Slide right into our DMs. And we're back from the weird break we just had. Brad was just with us. Obviously, he has left, and he kind of came in the middle of us doing our feedback from last week. So I want to quickly finish the last bit of feedback.
He was supposed to let us know he was here, but instead he just like walked in.
Yeah. I didn't. I intentionally kept that quiet. I kind of wanted to surprise people in chat, so he just kind of snuck in. So, but it was great to have him on the show to talk about Evil Within 2. I'm actually very excited to keep playing Evil Within 2 now.
Yeah,
I
me
kind of
too.
wish I was playing Evil Within 2 right now, but I'm not. So I want to read a comment from El Cypher. I think I started reading this before the break. He said, the loot box discussion was very interesting to listen to. Personally, I'm fine to a certain degree with loot boxes in multiplayer games where it's purely cosmetic. Dota 2 is one of those games, and several years ago it was probably the best free-to-play game with cosmetics-only loot boxes at the time. I remember for a while you couldn't get duplicates. Did I already read this one?
We started talking about it, but I didn't get to comment on it because I wanted to say that's kind of how PUBG works. All the loot boxes are all cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't get you weapons in the game. It just gets you outfits for your character. And the thing that I like about that is I can sell them because I don't give a fuck what my character looks like in the game.
Yeah, that's where the rub
But the
is,
people who do
because
care...
people will pay $500 for a fucking skirt for their characters.
Yep.
And I'm not fucking lying. That is how much like a blue skirt goes for in that game.
You've researched. You've researched this.
CSGO thing going on where like
Like the knife or whatever.
skins
Yeah.
are just like
They're actual items that you own.
The amount of inflation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. I mean, it can only cost that much if there's somebody willing to pay
I think
that
Crispy's
much.
mic needs to be reseated.
Correct. Yeah. No. So Crispy has a
So-
point. Hold on, Crispy. It's whatever value was put on it by people, and so someone decided that it's worth that much, so that's how much they're willing to pay.
Who is there? Just like some like Russian millionaire who just plays CS:GO all
Maybe.
day?
Sure.
Who's like, I'll throw $500 at a knife skin.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Last bit of feedback comes from Jaros. He says, one thing that's now mandatory in gacha in Japan.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
like the turnkey
The game.
toys,
Oh.
like machines. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha, exactly.
One thing that's now mandatory in gacha in Japanese mobile games is that they are required by law to show the percentage of getting the specific item you want to get.
That's cool.
For example, the rate to get the item from the rarest class is 3%, and the promotional specific super rare item is like 0.75% for that limited time.
Yeah.
It keeps things transparent so you are fully informed as to what you are getting into instead of just spray and pay.
That's honestly what I was going to
Spray and pray.
suggest earlier. Is that if you give people like, hey, this is the logic behind how we dole these out. Like, it's not like, this item you're not going to get it. Like, there's a 0%. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that is actually law in China. That if you have a game that has gambling or any kind of like loot box mechanic,
We
you
use
have
the term
to
gambling with
provide
quotes.
the statistics of what you can possibly get.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would people who would possibly be considering dropping money in a loot box would be like, if they're transparent upfront about it, it will discourage them if the percentage is low enough.
not necessarily.
but
Well, really, there's no reason not to, because they already make such a big deal about certain tiers of items being like ultra rare or epic and legendary. Like, bullshit, meaningless marketing terms. Just tell us what it actually fucking means. Like, there's no reason for that to not be a thing. And I think if these publishers want to generate any sort of goodwill going forward, they would at least do that.
Yeah.
At least, if they're not getting rid of the whole system altogether.
yeah. So that's actually it for our feedback. Thank you guys for your feedback on especially on the loot box discussion. That was a pretty big conversation we had last week, and I don't see that conversation going away anytime soon. So if you have any other anything you want to say if you want to add anything to that discussion, or if you want to chime in on anything we've talked about tonight on the episode, like I said earlier, leave us a comment on 4playernetwork.com. But now I know this has been kind of a Franken podcast because we're doing things out of order here. But next, I want to talk about South Park and the Fractured Butthole.
There's no and. Is there? Is there not?
Yeah, I
and
looked it
in
up.
there?
South Park and the Fractured Butthole.
I thought it was a South Park.
I think it's the fractured butthole.
Somebody look this up. I
I'm
think there's an
looking it up.
and. South Park and the Fractured Butthole.
I don't think it is.
South Park and the Fractured Butthole.
Really?
No, you just
Yeah,
gotta.
you just Googled it.
See, you're putting the emphasis like it's supposed to be read, but I like to just say in the Fractured Butthole.
No, it's South Park : the Fractured Butthole.
Like how I put it in the
Well,
document.
shit. I thought you were wrong. I'm sorry.
I think
was
the first
wrong.
game was called South
Hashtag
Park,
blame
and the
Nick.
South Park and the Stick of Truth.
Yeah, it was and the Stick of Truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
see?
far can I see South Park and the Stick of Truth? That's
All right.
what I
Well,
got.
let's talk.
No, it wasn't. There was no and
It's
in the
just
first
South
one
Park,
either.
the Stick of Truth. Yeah.
You just
We just
made
ima-
this up.
Nick
we
is
just
making things worse
imagine
on us.
the and.
Anyway, so the Fractured Butthole. I'm I don't know, like 16 something hours into it, maybe. Pretty good chunk of the way. I think I'm towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
So this is some footage from actually very early on in the game. I'm still doing tutorials, as you can see. But yeah, so it's definitely South Park. No holds barred. No holds barred. That's it.
No holds barred.
No
Okay.
holes
Just making-
barred.
Exactly. No holes.
Holes.
Holds.
Holes.
Every hole is barred in this game.
Holes.
Every hole. There's barred right up in there. This like right there with there's a priest whipping himself with anal beads. He just pulled out of
Jesus
his
Christ.
butt. That
Did you
happens.
pick this? You picked this
No,
sequence
this
just,
just
so you could
happened
show
to be
that?
footage I had. I captured a bunch of random footage of the
That's
game.
beautiful.
This is just some of the stuff I have.
Did you make a speedster character?
So yes, so here's the thing though. You start out as one class, but as the game goes on, you can dual class and then triple class. And I actually just unlocked a fourth class that you can do. And there's I want to say at least 12 classes in this game you can choose from.
Yeah.
All with unique abilities, all with unique super ability because they have ultra attacks and stuff in the game. I don't even know where to begin with this game. So I mean, there's a goal to shit in every toilet in town. Every toilet is
Just
a mini
go right
game.
down the list. You can shit in every toilet.
A mini shitting game, a shitty mini game, however you want to describe it. So I mean, it is similar to the first game. It's these kids who are playing. That's all it is. They're playing make believe. And so in the first game, it was
Are the priests whipping themselves with anal beads make believe? Or is that just happening in real life?
Yeah, that's a good question. He stuck him back up his butt now, so they're good.
Of course.
But yeah, so it's the kids playing make believe, and so
And they were doing the first one. They were playing make believe, and they were doing. It was more like a high fantasy.
Yes,
thing,
exactly.
And now it's
they're wizards and thieves and rogues. It was like D&D. Whereas this is very much they are many references to like Marvel versus DC. They talk about that in the game, like Marvel's dark and blah blah blah, and we have to be dark and brooding and stuff. But once again, it's children, and they're often kind of goes back to that. Like there are certain areas in the game that you can't get through because they're scattered with Legos. But they're red Legos, and the kids are like, "Oh, that's lava."
Yeah.
So you can't go over it. And if you touch it in the game, your character catches on fire. I mean, because it's lava to the children, it's real to them.
Yeah.
And so that's how the game is played. It's funny how I guess serious. I mean, if you watch South Park, it's kind of still that style.
Yeah. I think it's honestly like if you were to make, because they've made South Park games in the past, but I've always thought it was with these in particular, it was really brilliant that the lens that you see or you play this game through is like it's kind of made for that. Like the stories they tell in South Park are like seen through the eyes of children. So it's kind of
it's like the TV show. Honestly, this is like playing an episode of the TV show, similar to the first game, but I would say even more so in this one. I really feel like they grabbed the TV show well, and the town is almost the same. I'll say. The only differentions are literally
isn't there like an established lore as to like how this town is set up. So
then they had to do it for the game. Yeah, there actually really wasn't one.
Oh, that's right. I remember when they were making the first game, they had to like decide how things actually connected together.
They stuck with that in this, but literally everything that's happened in the TV show since the first game has happened in this game. So like there are areas like you can't get into Canada in this game because in the show they built a wall between Canada and the US, and so you can't get in. You can't. Like if you try to go to Canada, like, oh no, you can't get in.
There are 17 seasons of this show at this point?
Oh no,
they're on 21.
21?
They're on 21.
That's
now.
a fuck ton of stuff to just put in the game and remember.
Well, I mean, obviously not everything is there. There are definitely things that aren't in the game. But I mean, like I said, since the last season, anything that has changed to the town, like the whole like Shatipa town and like the Sopo, whatever those things are called. Yeah, because they tried to like Whole Foods came, so the town became like better and whatever and stuff like that. So like the mall was destroyed in the show, so there's like a destroyed mall in the background in the game.
That's really
and,
cool, actually.
Like they literally took everything that's happened to the town in the show, and it is in this game, which is I think really cool.
Are there Mongolian invaders? Please tell me. Yes.
No, there aren't any anymore. There used to be, but there's
wasn't that in Stick of Truth maybe?
I think they show up a bit in Stick of Truth. Yeah. But yeah, so once again, you're a superhero. You choose a class early on, but then you can either change that class or start dual classing as the game goes on. But you only ever have 3 abilities. And then an ultra. Yeah, so that's another point is you're trying to take a selfie with every single character in the game.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
To post on your Kunstagram account. And you'll see whenever I interact with somebody. By the way, hold on. If for those that don't know, for those who don't follow South Park, there was this big stretch on the internet of I guess Yowie is the best way to put it. But there are 2 characters in the show, Craig and Tweak, and it took off on the internet. Almost every single one of those internet cartoons is in this game somewhere.
I saw that like Craig and Tweak's like special move is like an animated Yowie where it looks like they're about to kiss.
Yes,
and then,
it's pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no. So that's in this game. So the funny thing is, it's actually Craig's dad who's asked you to collect these for him. And so you're collecting all of the Yowie in the world that you find for Craig's dad. So in the other game, you're collecting the Chimpokemon.
There's something
but now
about
you're
this.
collecting the Yowie. But yeah, so it's similar to the first game that you're running around and you're being attacked by random people. So in the first game, it was you were the elves or whatever were the bad people in that one. But now you're playing superheroes and you're not so you'll fight the 6th graders. The 6th graders are now your enemies. You'll fight the occasional hobo, but you'll also fight Professor Chaos's minions.
Yeah.
Butters is Professor Chaos, and so his minions will show up. Oh, this is a fucking brilliant addition. So, by the way, for those who don't know, I actually started replaying the first game in anticipation for this one, and not all, but so many of the problems I had, remembered from the first game, they fixed in this. In the first game, anytime you interact with something you collect items from, you have to interact with it, and it gives you a list, and then you can either one by one select them or say, take all.
Yeah.
But it honestly takes about 3 seconds from when you start interacting with something till you can do something else.
Yeah.
And this, as soon as you interact with something, it just pops all up in your inventory. You're done. It's
Yeah.
like that easy.
What difficulty level did you choose for the game?
I went about halfway. I didn't go full black. I'm about like maybe Latino.
Oh, sorry. Your response jarred me because for a second I had actually forgotten about that.
Yeah. For those that don't know,
It makes
in the
sense
game,
now.
the difficulty level you set by choosing how dark your skin is. Yep.
But I heard it doesn't really affect.
Yeah,
combat.
it doesn't. It doesn't.
It just kind of makes everybody racist towards you.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Oh, dude, the fucking okay. Here's another brilliant thing. So I wish they would have done that in the first game, but they didn't. They did it in this one though. You build a character sheet as the game goes on. So you literally have a character sheet, and you have to start with like, oh, this is where this is your superpower. You're a speedster. Obviously, for those who don't know, you got your superpowers because you had to try and help your mom out, and so that's what awoke your superpowers. But you failed, and that's why you're on your quest to be a superhero, because you failed to stop your dad from fucking your mom. And so that's your origin story. There's like over 40. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
There's a lot of
sorry.
them.
I don't mean to backtrack to the yaoi, but
Nick is really interested in this topic.
Are they drawn like?
They're very tasteful.
No, but they're drawn. Why they don't look like South Park characters?
No, they look like
they
anime.
look like anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's yaoi.
They're all anime.
What
yeah.
even makes them identifiable as those two
And
characters?
you can tell their outfits.
They're wearing their outfits.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the first time this happened.
And so wait, it's clear. So
Nick is Baka.
people in the real world drew these
Correct.
And it ended
for some
up in
weird
the
reason,
game.
and then
Why
they
not?
put them in the game.
Yep.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The internet's a weird fucking place.
You start with it's very simple, but then as you go on, you're like, oh, you can't not have a weakness, dude. What's your weakness? And it'll give you a bunch of different things, and you have to choose your weakness. And so they'll be like, oh, like raisins girls is your weakness. Like I think Craig, his weakness is raisin girls, or somebody your weakness might be like cops or something like that. The weakness I chose was crab people. And then actually encountered some crab people because they took over the D-Mobile store and they were posing as D-Mobile employees, the phone service, and it was fucking hilarious. But yeah, my weakness in the game is crab people. As you go on, you get your gender, and there's this hilarious fucking scene where you're at Mr. Mackey's office and he sits you down and he's like, so what do you identify as? And you can choose boy, girl, or other. And like I chose other, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to call your parents. And he like calls your parents. He's like, and just, this whole hilarious thing takes off. And then on from the rest of the game,
Who like in this game presented with that choice? Who would not pick?
why not? You pick whatever. The thing is, at the beginning of the game, I made my character a boy.
Yeah.
But then I chose that I identified as like non-gender or whatever. And so like the rest of the game, people comment on that. Like
It changes dialogue.
Yeah.
for the
Oh
rest of
no!
the game?
When I left Mr. Mackey's office, a bunch of rednecks jumped me for being non-gender.
What?
Swear to God. I
Oh
swear
my
to God.
Question.
Yeah.
Is the strip club level from the E3 demo just as bad as it is in the launch?
Yeah. No, it is.
Oh my God.
I don't actually. You know what? Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't actually never saw that demo.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah. It gets
Wonderful.
there. Yeah. It goes places.
It goes places.
Yeah. By the way, my phone is like cracked. You can tell when I take. You can change those out to different things and stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought it kind of looked cool. And the thing is, it's a South Park game. You get quests. Like Big Gay Al gave me a quest to find all of his cats. His cats have gone missing, and you have to find them. But the thing is, you can't early on in the game. You can't because they always run away. But later on, there's another Yowie, Nick. I'm about to find for you.
Wonderful. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
You can hold on them longer, but at this point, I had seen so many. I'm just like, oh man, another
You're
Yowie.
just numb to it.
Yeah. But anyway,
It wasn't Obsidian that made this.
no,
No, this was Ubisoft. It's like
Ubisoft.
It's one of the Ubisoft
I can't remember.
Internals.
Yeah,
it's one of their internal studios, but it
Yeah.
is a Ubisoft game. Yeah.
Which was
Okay.
which was actually kind of so like they spent a lot. I understand why the first game was delayed, and they were
because
finding time to figure out how the game was going to work and all that stuff. And I kind of was under the impression they were going to make a sequel, and it was just
It
going
was
to be
the,
kind of
shitting
the
mini
same. Oh my! There's like mini games or shit.
No, every time you go to a
that's
toilet,
fantastic.
you have to. So it gets really complicated. You have to like rotate this analog stick and hold this one up here, and then sometimes you have to. Oh, you gotta. I'm charging up my gas.
Yeah,
and
like
then,
real life.
And then you have to like, oh, you gotta rock them back and forth. But it'll get crazy. It'll be like, oh, hold this one up, tap these 3, do this. It gets really fucking complicated. This is actually a level 3. There's like a level 4 toilet later on. But yeah, you can see I'm rotating one and like tapping other ones, and then I gotta fucking pinch it out.
How is like the item and character customization?
So that's another thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
So the way leveling works in this game is different from the previous game. In the previous game, you would just level up when you got experience. So while you still level up when you get experience in this game, that's not the main thing that affects your strength and your skills. There are artifacts in the world that you find that affect that. So something like I think one of them might be Butter's Creamy Goo is one of them. But there are many different items in the world that you can find that affect your skills. And so each artifact will have a different attribute it gives to you. And I don't know if I get to it in this, but if you go to the menu, there's like you'll see sometimes, and it shows me I have like a level over my head, and that's you see that little number right there.
Yeah.
That's my like level as determined by the game. So there are certain things.
Say 80.
Yeah, it's very low right now in the game. I'm like 750.
Oh,
that's not your level. That's your like power
gear
level.
Score.
Yeah, exactly. It's how much artifacts count up to that level. So, by the way, I'm about to do a quest, and that's why I'm saving it. The cops have assigned me as a junior deputy, and I'm on my way to a hardened criminal's house.
that's a good idea.
And it's a black family.
Yeah. They're criminals, Crispy.
Fucking God.
They're criminals.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Sorry.
But yeah,
So
anyway, you find these artifacts.
10-foot pole.
And you kind of there are different artifact types, so you can have like the minor ones and major ones and stuff like that, and you can mix and match them because depending on the class you choose, that will give your abilities will be either strength or physical, like physical or like mental or stuff like that. So there you have different kind of, you want to choose your artifacts depending on what you are. There's a crafting system in the game. Throughout the world, you find items and you can craft them into like healing items, like actual artifacts you can use. You can. That's another thing, and I don't know if I do or don't like it. So combat, if y'all haven't noticed, is completely different.
See, that's actually what I was kind of where I was
Yeah.
going because I thought they'd make a sequel and it would just kind of be a
a
different
more
story,
fleshed
more
out
the
version.
same.
Yeah,
But they've
100%
completely
different.
redone the combat.
So first off, and the thing that made me remember that is healing items. In the first game, you could always use one healing item a turn if you need it.
Yeah.
You can't do that in this game. If you use a healing item, that's your turn.
Oh.
They've made it more actual like RPG style, and so once
Isn't
again,
it grid based too?
So yeah, that's the thing. It is the entire game takes place. The fighting takes place on a grid, and depending on where you are, that grid will change size. There might be things in the way.
Yeah.
There might be like physical objects in the world. Which one was that? Was I pinching it? What was?
I don't. I just realized that meter just like drops a turd out of the.
Yeah, the
bottom
meter
of it.
is the turd at the end. Yeah. So
And
sometimes
it's just like hanging there, and you're like shaking the left stick. Until
sometimes
it
you have to.
drops.
I think that was shake it off. Sometimes you have to pinch
Yeah.
it, and
That one
sometimes
was
you have to
shake it
work
off.
it out.
That one was shaking.
Okay.
Work it out.
So here's the hardened criminal that I found.
Fucking Christ.
In true,
Engage,
in true,
engage.
in true South Park tradition.
Yes.
Oh my
They
god.
say a lot without saying much at all.
Yep.
Oh my god.
But anyway, so combat. So as you can see, combat's grid based, and you can only move so many spaces. You can change that with artifacts. You can give yourself more spaces to move, and your attacks, hit certain boxes. So there is dozens of different attacks based on you, based on other characters in your team. So you really need to balance your team as well, because I think at this point I have maybe like 8 different people I can bring into combat, but I can only choose 3 other people, and so it will often be who am I taking into combat with me? Like I'm a speedster. I don't really necessarily need another speedster, but I will say that Timmy's fucking ultimate is fucking amazing. amazing. He pulls like a flash and like runs around the world, but it's like
Nice.
real footage of him running down like real city streets. It's not fucking like
Really?
yes, it's like him running down like
like
fucking New
live
York.
action.
Yeah, and then it zooms out and it shows him running around the world and stuff. It's fucking because it's fucking Jimmy, so he's on crutches and he's like like running at the speed of light or whatever. Yeah, dude, so that's another thing is their ultimates are fucking amazing. Wendy Testaberger is Call Girl, and so she's all on social media. So like her ultimate is she texts everyone in like the world that sends out this like thing and like it forms like a flash mob and everyone just like runs through the screen and hits people. Token is Tupperware, and so his ultimate is he summons like this giant mech Tupperware suit, and he's like floating in it and like blasting beams at people and stuff. And like like some of their stuff gets
I
like
heard Cartman's is pretty good.
Dude,
Cartman is like all about him becoming the coon becoming famous, and so
Yeah.
it's like shots of him
like interviews.
on interviews and stuff, and like dude, it's
I really just need a
fantastic.
card from time out to play the first one.
Oh no, definitely. It's,
first
don't
one's
get me
good.
wrong. The first one's a great game.
Don't get super AIDS,
Yeah, you can get super AIDS in the first game. You can.
and you can't get rid of it.
It's just
if
like
you do.
regular AIDS, but worse.
It's a status effect that you can't get rid of.
Yep.
Like I don't. Does it even do anything?
I
Or
don't
is
know if
just
it does.
You have super.
No,
AIDS?
people will comment on it in the game. I think if you have it, like, oh, this guy's got super AIDS. But yeah, dude, some of the attacks get crazy. Like, when you fight like the sixth grade, that's another thing. Every single enemy class has styles of attacks. So the sixth graders will like throw boogers at you and like pee and balloons and throw them at you. Whereas when you fight like retired old people, they'll like I know one of them is the old women will throw their depends at you.
Oh my god.
It gets fucking crazy. Cops will tase you.
It must have been so much fun to write this
Oh,
game.
totally. I
my
can imagine. So here, that's another thing is like, look, Jimmy just did an ability that hit a bunch of people. It moved where they are in the level, and then he turned invisible. So now he can't be hurt. You can
For a turn, right?
For a turn. Oh, until his next action. Yeah. There are. Who's Mosquito? Is that
was that's Clyde?
Clyde? I think Clyde.
I don't think it's either
It's
Craig
Clyde.
or Clyde.
It's Clyde
And it's
because
not
Craig is Super
Yeah,
Craig.
Okay.
He's super. Yeah, there he is. It's Super
Yeah.
Craig. So anyway, Clyde is Mosquito, and one of his abilities is anytime he attacks someone, he siphons like health off of
Oh,
them.
that's cool.
And like
Makes
another
sense.
thing that he can do is he can send like a swarm of mosquitoes at people, which will give them the grossed out effect, which means every turn they throw up and lose health.
That was from.
There's so much there. Like honestly, this game goes way beyond what I thought it was gonna do. What was the other thing I was trying to say? There's you can like enrage enemies. Like there's attacks that will enrage them, but then you'll put a shield on yourself, so you'll take all the damage to the next turn because people will be enraged by you, which leaves other people open. The farting ability. So that was the other thing. So in the first game, you had your farts that you could throw. It was all about the what did they call it in the first game? Fart something.
it was
your dragon
it
shouts.
was magic.
Yeah, it was your dragon shouts.
Was this making fun of Skyrim?
It was around when Skyrim came out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was like a year after Skyrim, or 2 years, something like that. So this one is all superhero stuff, but your farts are all about like time. So your farts control time. So you fart in the battle. If someone's about to attack you, you can do a time fart, which will revert time, and so their attack just won't happen. But the weird thing is they'll comment on it, like, what the fuck, I was about to hit him. And it's like stuff like that. There's like a fart that you can do that will pause time and let you run around and just punch the shit out of people for like 4 seconds. There's one that you can fucking make a clone of yourself in the game. So for like 3 turns, you have 2 of yourself that can fight in combat.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because decent farts in chat says, really? Fart jokes?
Yep. I am enjoying the shit out of this game.
I want to play it just because I think there's so much potential for like, because writing for this game must have been so much different than writing for the show.
Totally.
And just, it's
It
clear
feels
they
like
went
gotta
hog
write
wild.
a season or 2 of content.
So
for this
so
game.
here's another thing. If you see those red marks on the ground,
Yeah.
that's another thing they added to combat. Is since it's this grid based thing, is there are like super attacks that enemies will do that do massive amounts of damage if you're in any of those places. So you
okay.
definitely want to get out of them. But the thing is, you can also move enemies in the world. So you can force an enemy into a section where that's about to be attacked. So actually, there will do like team based damage. I don't know what else to say. I'm sure I'm forgetting some things.
Well, I'm gonna try. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to do it, but I have South Park 1 sitting on my
Bless
shelf.
you.
So
there are other things that you can interact in with the world that you need your buddies. I remember in the original trailer we saw Fart Core, which was you call why am I drawing a blank? Stan, Kenny, Kyle. You call on Kyle because he's the human kite, and he holds onto your back, and you fart, and it like launches you, so you can get to sections of the game you couldn't get to before. You have
cool.
Stan as Toolshed can come and like blow things away with his like it's almost like an air gun.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have an air compressor, so he has to plug it into your butt to get the air. You can. It gets fucking crazy, dude. Like I'm like I said, outfits. Oh my fucking god, dude. There's like 500 outfits in this game. Like you don't see it now, but in the game recently, I've been rolling around in like an Assassin's Creed outfit.
Oh my god.
You can get like all these different like Captain America knockoffs and like fucking like Black Panther.
Is
and,
it like full outfits?
Oh no,
or
everything's
like...
interchangeable. So you have a headpiece, like a body piece, and then arms. So you can interchange them out too to different things. And there are dozens and dozens, and I swear to God, there's probably at least like 400 outfits you can do. Yeah. And this is just like a random mismatch of stuff I found in the game. The thing is, compared to the first one, that is a huge difference. In the first game, outfits were like everything. They affected your combat. You attached like inserts to the outfits. That's all gone.
Stickers
That's all gone. Now outfits are just cosmetic now, which I honestly like. Everything, all your stuff is based on.
Gives you an opportunity to just
have to do that in a superhero game.
Yeah. Everything now is based on your class, the class you choose to be, and then when you dual class, like I said, you can mix and match those abilities. But I don't know what else to say. There's probably a huge amount more I'm missing. But like I said, I've been really enjoying the game.
You've gotten me thoroughly excited to play the series, the quote unquote series. It's 2 games, but I'm gonna find some fucking. It's only like the first one's only like what, 10 hours?
If you get this
12
one,
hours?
I think
bit
you
longer.
get the first game.
I already own the first
already
game.
own it?
Yeah.
But I mean, if I got this game, I could play it on PS4.
That's true. But I don't know. I can't remember how long the first game. I mean,
I remember it being
like,
it was
short.
longer than.
Yeah, it was like 10 hours, maybe.
I think it was a little longer, maybe like 12.
Point is, it's not like a 30-hour
it.
commitment.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
you know?
No, it's definitely shorter than a lot of games coming out now.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I definitely want to fucking play it. So, hopefully you'll finish it off. Maybe.
Oh
give
no!
us some
Like
final
I said,
thoughts.
I will be done by the next podcast probably.
Cool.
I'm getting pretty close to the end.
Everyone's gonna finish games for the next podcast.
Yeah.
Every one of you
Finish
finish your homework, guys.
your
All right,
games.
I'm gonna go ahead and just stop the recording for a quick break, but I'm just gonna immediately start it back up so we can go straight into the second segment. So, if you're listening, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a second. We'll talk about some stuff in the news, especially, of course, being the big EA Visceral Games news. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll answer some questions from our patrons and wrap up with the 4-player minute. So, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back from the break, everybody. Before we jump into news, which there is some big stuff to talk about, Chris Davis did play a game that he's actually had a few requests to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know what this game is, but it's called Blue Reflection.
Okay. I need to frame this game for you. It's called Blue Reflection. It's a Koei Tecmo JRPG.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you knew this, but they're actually making JRPGs that are not made by Square.
Koei Tecmo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically, the developer's called Gust.
So
this is their newest game, Blue Reflection. Is that it?
Yep.
That's it. Okay. I need to frame this game for you before you actually see it.
Oh no, I'm too late. Crispy just showed me a screenshot. What are you doing, Chris Davis?
Anime waifus?
They're in high school. Calm down. Okay.
Oh,
That's even worse.
A couple years ago,
And somebody in chat said there's a nude filter for the game?
Oh my
A
god!
filter.
Oh,
Really?
no.
A filter. It's a nude filter.
a couple years ago, I saw an anime called Madoka Magica.
I was about to be like,
And
why are
it's-
people requesting this?
It's a magical girl anime, but the thing about it is that it's a complete subversion of the genre. It's dark, it's gritty, people get murdered. It's very compelling.
Dark and gritty does not quite match the screenshot or the art that Crispy just showed me. It was actually quite blue and light.
I'm not done yet. God damn it.
I don't believe you, but that's okay.
Madoka
You know what, let me
Roll your footage.
Fuck it. I'll roll my footage.
Are you
I'll
sure
talk
it's
about
safe?
it.
We're not gonna get banned for
Oh my
this.
god!
Oh no.
Someone is Sailor Moon?
Oh,
So-
Not that there's anything wrong with Sailor Moon.
So
I
I really enjoyed this show, Magica Madoka. And I was looking around.
Does
and I
the
was
FBI know this?
Would you fucking god damn it.
Hey, you asked for
This
this.
is why I didn't.
Thank
this is why I
you
didn't-
for putting all of us on the internet with this.
So I was looking around to see if maybe there was a game, and I really couldn't find one. And I started looking, and I realized there really isn't that much. Oh my god, she's 15.
What happened?
Stop it.
You're the one playing the game.
I realized that there's really not that many in this genre of anime in terms of games. Like, there's been a couple Sailor Moon fighting games.
Yeah.
Like, actual fucking fighting games. But there's never really been anything like a JRPG.
Man, this is channeling Sailor Moon like
and
pretty
I
hard.
think it's more Cardcaptor Sakura.
And so I
While we're splitting hairs.
I mean, have you ever
It's
wanted
both with a healthy
have you ever
dash
wanted to
of-
play a game that was as close as possible to like this vision of another game you want to play?
Maybe?
What?
I don't
It's
understand
kinda
what
a
those
weird way to
words
frame the
mean.
question, but
Play.
god damn. I'm sorry.
Okay. So this is a JRPG.
Abort!
Nicholas.
Why do they make them 15? Why don't they just make them like
I don't
20?
know.
Why not just put them in college? Why does it have to be high school?
Yeah, and then they like run like this. Like,
This is a very shoujo written game. It's supposed to be. It promotes girls and young women in a very positive light.
Nice young girls in a pot. Okay. So you asked for this. Sorry.
It's actually a pretty
Better not
decent
put them under
battle
a
system
black
in this
light.
game.
I do want.
The idea is that your character is what's called a reflector.
Okay.
She basically a magical girl. She has the ability to go into this other world that's affected by people's emotions when they become overwhelmed in a moment.
Okay.
And you can pause time and go into this other world, in which everybody has a shared consciousness, and you can
Like the Matrix.
fight their demons for them in there.
that sounds like Persona.
This is very Persona Light. This game,
Okay.
okay, which was another reason.
Yeah, I
was
do want to
kinda
say I
attracted
think
to
the
this game.
animation is actually pretty good quality.
It's actually
Just
pretty good
wanna-
quality.
Just
The-
being totally serious here.
So yeah, you go into these
very
worlds
artistically done.
and you fight their demons for them. And the comment section is actually surprisingly deep as it builds and builds
So
and builds.
hold on. So I am trying to be serious now.
Yeah.
This combat looks confusing as fuck.
It
There's
can't-
like so much stuff on the
There's
screen.
a lot going on, but it gradually introduces you to each aspect of the game.
Okay.
To be honest,
It
though, I
makes
feel that way
sense.
about a lot of JRPGs these days.
I
No,
mean,
that can be true.
all of your weapons and your magic spells have specific types of damage. They'll do heart damage or ice damage, piercing damage, things like that. The main grasp of the combat is that when you're playing, your health and your MP is always going to be restored after every battle, no matter what. So it's not a matter of managing your HP per se; it's managing your mana.
Okay.
And the turn structure of the level, because at the bar you see the structure of the turns. The closer they get to the center, the next they are in the order of combat.
Sure.
But what you want to do is you want to use magic that will knock them back in the turn order and allow you extra attacks and build time to build.
So you're
your
managing
defenses.
turn order by using attacks and whatnot.
Yeah. Once you
Hold on. I just think this is bad UI design. Like those boxes are so fucking big. They take up like the entire screen.
But they look very futuristic.
I guess. I mean, just think of like something like
mean,
like
that's
fucking
just-
Final Fantasy, or where you have your box on like the bottom of the screen that maybe takes up maybe like a fifth of the screen.
it's funny.
Yeah,
like
it's-
like the UI design reminds me of like it's almost like they designed the UI in the game as if they were designing like an app on a phone.
Yeah.
Like they have
that's certainly
like it's
possible.
meant to be used with for
Like,
touch screens.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I could definitely see this game being
Yeah,
on
look
a
at that.
touch
It's like
device.
perfect for just tapping with your thumb. Is this game on phones?
No,
I'll play
it's
this
not.
on a phone.
It's on PS4 and Steam right now. Okay, the other cool thing about the combat is how you can augment your spells.
Okay.
So when you complete one of these encounters and finish going into this other world and you save the people in the real world,
Yes.
you can get what's called fragments. And you can assign these fragments, which give you boosts and additional abilities, onto each individual spell that you have. So you can take an attack that does area damage, and then you can put on a fragment that does auto damage in addition to it. So once they get hit, they take damage during the turn change.
Okay. So it's almost like you're creating. It's not exactly the same, but kind of like the way. Help me out. No one. Like the game we just gave away. Last week we gave the game away. Last week.
I wasn't here last week.
2 weeks ago. The developer sent you a game. We gave it away on the feed.
Oh, Mages of Australia.
Mages of Australia. How you were like augmenting spells.
Correct.
And that.
Yeah, you modify the spell to
Obviously,
do
that
different.
takes it to a totally different level.
Yeah.
But
Also, during combat, you have a bar on the left side of the screen that gives you like 20% there. That's your reflector bar. And based on your progress in combat and what's going on, it will go up and down. And you can actually, in between the turns, you can guard or heal yourself in preparation for the next turn.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of things going on here. It's actually kind of cool.
How's the story?
The writing is very shoujo manga, so it's very young girls and young women, promoting them in a very positive light.
This still doesn't tell me anything about the story.
It's not sexual. It's not anything like that.
You're still not telling me about the story.
The story is all right.
I promise you, it's not
the
weird.
problem is, I played for 15 hours of this, and I see where things are kind of going, but it's not giving me that twist that I want from like Madoka.
But what is it? Okay.
I still don't know.
What is it about? What is the story? What are you doing?
You're a reflector. You're a magical girl. You're saving people from their personal demons after they go rampant.
But is there a big bad?
But there's also a big bad. There's what's called the Seraphim. They're using the rampant emotions of people to actually invade the real world and try to take it over. And so all over the world, there's these sects of these reflectors that are defending their stations. And sometimes a seraphim will invade. Nobody in the real world can see what's going on, but they can see the effects. Like they won't know it's a seraphim, but there's like an earthquake going on, or there's some severe damage going on.
Sure.
And it turns out to be for you and the characters that you rescue. Once you give them a ring, they can actually see what's going on as well. And they get added on to your combat meter as well, because you can call them into battle, and they'll do various bonus and stat effects.
Okay.
But the Seraphim fights,
when you put a
they're
ring
actually they're giant monster things. And you're called upon all your friends and all your assets to fight them in these real world scenarios.
Oh, okay. So hold on. So you're in the real world, but then you go into some magical world.
It's a shared consciousness world where the areas of this world are reflective of the emotional states.
You're like in a mirrored version of the world that reflects people's.
So it's like Inception,
partially mirrored in a way.
Yeah,
kind
of. So it's like Inception.
So like the world they go to in this footage, it's the Sorrow Zone. So it's a lot of Roman architecture and kind of like downplayed music. There's also like an anger zone where it's just fiery lava and shit like that everywhere. The enemy design will reflect the area as well. Including the diverse encounters you'll get. I actually like the art style of the enemies.
I think the game actually looks
the
pretty
first
good.
enemy I fought in the game, I swear to God, it looked just like Jehuti from Zone of the Enders.
Jody, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I think it's a good game. I'm so overwhelmed with other things to play right now that I've only put 15 hours.
The reason my jaw hit the floor a minute ago is there are outfits you can buy with this game, $30 packs.
Oh no, it's worse than that.
Is this the game that I saw a few weeks ago? Someone posted it in Discord, I think, where it was like a list of all the DLC for the game.
No. I think that was White Day that they posted.
Yeah.
White Day has
White
a
Day
shit
is
ton.
bad. This is just about as bad. There's about $80 worth of costume DLC for this game.
So what you're saying is the game's not sexual, but you can make it that way.
Yeah, you certainly can. If you're that fucking perverted, yes, you can if you want. But the writing of the game is very positive. It's not dark in any way thus far.
Cool. That's like when I play Sinner and Kagura. I didn't make that sexual. I didn't fill that girl's orifices with sushi rolls.
But you
all right, and on that note, I think we're going to move on.
We have footage of it.
I didn't put a pacifier in a girl's...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was the fun part about that game. That's why that game was fun.
Kooky. You guys made it gross.
So there's still no Madoka game out there that I really want to play. I encourage y'all to this show is on Netflix. It's really fucking good.
Wait,
What's
this
it called?
Blue Reflection?
Madoka Magica. The
Dude,
stuff
oh.
the reason why I played this game.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
The show I'm talking about. Huh?
So, honestly, I'm probably not gonna do that.
It's fucking dark. There's murder and death and despair everywhere. Suicides. There's shit going on in this show, and the twists are surprisingly good.
And this game reminds you of that?
No, but it's as close as I can get to that
Okay.
with this
Interesting.
genre.
All right, fair enough.
I guess
I totally okay.
Madoka.
I don't know what that
Madoka
is.
Magica.
All right.
It's gotten a series, and
I can't. I live with other people. Like I can't really like.
Hey, Chrissy, what you doing?
Chris,
Oh my goodness, that's too much. That's too
trust
funny.
me, you get 4 episodes into the show, and you'll be like,
Four
my God,
episodes. I haven't
you
even.
can't show this to children.
I-
This is not a children's show. It is so dark.
Man, 4 episodes. I haven't even watched the 4 episodes of
that's not
Castlevania yet.
What I'm worried about.
We need to move on.
Fucking God. I also want to mention, on a much lighter note, I beat A Hat in Time.
Cool.
That game is good from start to end. The fourth world in the game kind of blew my mind because it's a full free roam thing,
Like an open
like
area?
a full open world thing, and it's like a beautiful Shambhala level. Like you're flying through the world on these ropes of flags, and you're going and finding the timepiece. It's so good.
Oh man, it's on my list. I just wish it wasn't $30. But hey, what can I do?
It's-
It's
So
on
how
my
was
list.
how was John Tron in that game?
God, no! Don't! I'm not letting you do this. I'm not letting you derail this podcast any further. Don't you answer that question, Chris Davis.
No,
don't you answer that
I will
question.
say this.
No, don't
I
say
will
it.
say this.
I am
If
the host
he's-
of this podcast. I'm
I
telling
know
you not to
he's
say
in
this.
there, but I
Strike
didn't
two.
hear
You're
him.
on strike two, young
I
man.
didn't hear him at all. I didn't recognize him at all. So I know the role he played, but I don't think it was actually implemented
That
the
doesn't
voice
mean
work at all.
anything.
Davis. Don't answer the question. That's strike 2.
It's too late. It was already asked. I answered it. Give him a strike. It's not my fault.
No. We're moving on from the. We're
No,
moving
I'm
on.
a good boy.
Also,
Please move
I put 25 hours into Shadow of War. Now, I've conquered 3 fortresses. I'm working on my 4th right now.
We need to move
That
on.
game.
How's the nude filter? in
Dude,
Shadow of War?
no. If we're mentioning Shadows of War, I will say I also put a lot more time into it. I got to the part where you're actually like conquering fortresses and building your army. Pretty cool. The lore of that game, like the story of that game, is just like pissing on J.R.R. Tolkien's grave.
Aw.
But it's okay. It's kind of it's like I mean it's like what the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones have done to An Ice and Fire. It's like that level of just like bullshit as far as the story goes. It's like we're gonna deal in the very limited terms that people who have seen the movie would be familiar with, and just fuck that up its own ass a bunch.
There's a lot of logical fallacies. When
It's
you compare.
really stupid.
It's
kind of cool. Like I like the idea of the Bright Lord. Like I really
Yeah.
like the idea of this like completely antithetical like equivalent to Sauron, but it's so fucking stupid. it like I'm sure Tolkien would just like fucking vomit blood if he saw this. But
no, he wouldn't. You know what he would do? He would look at his fucking bank account like, okay, go ahead.
I mean, money does talk.
debatable.
I don't know.
Money
about
fucking
that.
talks.
I don't know if it talks to
Don't be
Tolkien.
so fucking cynical, Chris Davis. Strike 3. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, we really need to get
Yes,
to the news.
please.
News needs to happen now. I want to get the big one out of the way first. This struck a chord with me. I have words. So it's funny because last Saturday I actually did a day-long stream. Robin wanted to play Dead Space. I just literally sat there
Yeah,
and
dude.
watched her play
As soon
Dead
as I
Space.
read that headline, I was like, "Oh, Nick."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody did. I looked in Discord, but people didn't even know I was watching, and people were like, "Oh God, Nick's gonna be so pissed." That was in the gaming channel. That wasn't even in our staff channel.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna
So-
dig into this, huh?
yes, we're gonna dig into this. So EA has closed Visceral Games.
Yep.
That's the first shitty part about this news topic. The second one is they have quote unquote pivoted. That's the word they use. They have pivoted the direction of their Star Wars project. That's the one being worked on by Amy Hennig.
Yep.
The one that we've been wanting to see for years and years and years. We've literally seen like a 10-second clip of that game, I think. Not even 10 seconds, like 5 seconds.
The character walking out in like that Tatooine like.
And do you remember getting rock hard when you saw that? Because I do.
Star Destroyer flying over and the stormtroopers and the Imperial banners everywhere. Yeah, dude, all of my blood was in my dick during that.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
and it sucks to think that is never going to see the light of day.
Well, okay, so you could probably analyze the statement from EA all day long, and people have been obviously jumping to a lot of conclusions, rightfully so. People have even been extrapolating that out to like, this is like the death of the modern single player game, which I think may be exaggerating a little bit.
That was a Polygon article, and I was like, fuck.
But like, it's spreading like wildfire. Like, people think single player games are dead.
That's not
like
true.
Everything's going to be a Destiny clone. I think that's taking a little far.
So the assertion that they want a Star Wars Destiny game, I think, is a little.
And that's not even, that is not what they said either.
No. But Patrick Klepek, the guy who wrote the Polygon article, definitely did say that.
Yes.
His belief is that they want specifically to go after that Destiny money, and that idea is picking up a lot of steam, and I've heard more than just him saying the whole Destiny-ification of gaming, which I think that's a little obtuse. I think that's a little,
especially when you consider that Destiny. If you look at Destiny as like an example, I could be wrong, but I don't think Destiny has like been the most successful experiment, like financially speaking. Right?
I think that's been doing great for them financially.
Yeah.
Really?
It may not have been doing so great critically, but it is making so much money. Oh my god, that first Destiny sold entire like system bundles like the PS4 was going out of fucking style. Like the new one was no different. Yeah. I mean, that game has been selling and making money and is set up to keep making money for years to come.
Prince of the Universe has a point there because they just announced Anthem, which looks kind of like a Destiny clone, which is like that. See, and that gives me reason to think that if you read the language of the statement about the Star Wars game, it says things like creating more player agency and avoiding, like, they talk about how this Star Wars game was shaping up to be a linear story driven game.
Yep.
Very much like Uncharted.
I was very hyped for that.
They definitely said that is what this game was, and we want something else.
Which makes it sound to me like maybe they're leaning more open world.
I don't know. I don't really even want to speculate what that's supposed to be, because who the fuck knows?
That's what I'm saying. You can analyze it all day.
We can sit here dissecting marketing speak all day, but these people straight up lie on a regular basis. So like, it's kind of futile to just sit here and wonder what exactly they do mean. But it is kind of indicative of a certain attitude that they have about where their money is best served.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Everyone's been saying, okay, well, they're obviously not going to do the Destiny thing with Star Wars because they have Anthem coming, okay? The huge pivotal difference between those two is that Anthem is not a thing yet. Anthem doesn't exist as an IP yet, really. It hasn't launched. It hasn't proven dick.
Star Wars... It's not going to mean anything for 2 years.
Star Wars is a fucking pop culture juggernaut. You can slap Star Wars on a fucking toilet and it'll sell like hotcakes, you know? There's a lot of...
You could make it look like a Sarlacc pit.
That would be so cool. I would totally buy it. Well, actually, the Sarlacc is the monster. The pit is called the Pit of Carcoon. But anyway, you could sell
I hate
that
you sometimes, Chris.
I know. You could sell that shit like fucking hotcakes. Like the brand power behind Star Wars is like kind of unstoppable. So if the idea that if they are going, if EA as a whole is going after Destiny money specifically, the idea that they're not going to do it because they have Anthem, I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know. You know, maybe next year we might hear that Anthem is having some troubled development, or maybe it might just go away we might not ever hear about that game again. It happens all the fucking time.
No, it does.
And then guess what? New Star Wars online multiplayer game comes out, and we never ever hear from Anthem again. Like, I could totally see something like that happening. I don't think there's anything to really indicate that based on what they've said so far, but don't feel like that.
You can tell when you're reading the statement, you can tell that they were trying to avoid certain things.
Look at that.
They were trying to avoid saying certain things to make people jump to certain conclusions, which I think had the opposite effect. But like you said, you could speculate about what they're probably going to do with this project all day long. What they have confirmed is that they are currently in talks to try and figure out what the next step is for Amy Hennig, without confirming one way or another whether she's staying on the project or being shifted to something else entirely.
That is the real.
That's kind of my question.
Like if they're getting rid of Amy Hennig on the project,
a big kind of poo-poo. Like that's
like if they wanted to make a story-driven Star Wars game, they would not be getting rid of Amy Hennig.
Correct. That's my point. Is the fact that she was moved to this game, or she kind of joined. Amy, we all know Amy Hennig. I mean, she Uncharted.
Yeah.
She's a fucking great writer.
She is one of the biggest reasons why people love Uncharted.
Yes. And as soon as she joined up on Star Wars, we're like, oh shit, this game's going to be fucking great. We know the story of this game's going to be amazing. But the thing is, now that this is happening, that was my first question: is what's happening? But if Amy stays on, I have high hopes.
It could go either way. The thing, honestly, that worries me more, though, and that this is until we get confirmation one way or another about Amy Hennig, is that the primary development, obviously, because Visceral was working on it before, they have closed. They have handed the game off to EA Vancouver, which their track record is not great. There is nothing even remotely this
nothing
large
good comes
in
out of
scope.
Vancouver.
There's like I think there's a Medal of Honor game or two on there, but nothing of this scope or size or And obviously, they also said it's going to be EA Vancouver primary development, with help from a bunch of other studios, which we've seen them do before, especially with like Assassin's Creed. They like with their big franchises, they farm out certain aspects that have to be developed by other studios. So, and sometimes it happens in such a way it comes out and you can't even really tell that multiple people had their hand in it. Other times it shines through. But like to hand it off from someone like Visceral, who is responsible for the creation of one of my other favorite brand new horror IPs of the past decade, which
Dante's
is
Inferno?
Dead Space.
Okay.
To see them, first of all, what the fuck does this mean for Dead Space?
You know what it means.
You know what it means.
Probably we're never ever going to see another Dead Space.
You know what this means, Nick.
Dead Space is gone.
Especially after the last Dead Space game being 3, which I mean, I know you like 3.
I mean,
and
I don't
3
love
was
3,
okay, but like that series was already in decline, and now this happens.
But sure, but like there's still value in that IP, and EA owns the IP.
Dude, fuck that. They're gonna start making Star Wars horror games to replace Dead Space.
Yeah,
I mean, like.
But you know what? I would take a Star Wars horror game.
Star Wars is a juggernaut. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing about what's being proposed that I think is necessarily bad.
They're gonna call it Darth Space.
If EA was working on a Star Wars Destiny type game, I would play that. I mean, but I'm a fucking scummy Destiny player who will pay money for anything that has the word Star Wars on it. Maybe I'm just a piece of shit, but I would totally play that. But that's not what's bad about this. What's bad about this is they had all the elements for a great single player game. Star Wars IP, what little we saw looked like it was fucking dope. Like looked really, really, really polished. Amy Hennig was leading the project. Like, if that combination of elements can't make a profitable single player game, then what can? And I think we all should be paying a lot of attention to Wolfenstein, the new Wolfenstein coming out, because how that game performs might just set a precedent for what's going to come out in the years to come, and what developers are going to be, kind of prioritizing their resources for. Because this year has had a lot of really high profile single player games that have kind of shit the bed. Games that were fucking great, had like really no reason to shit the bed other than probably the fact that they're, limited $60 games that people just don't want to pay for anymore, So if Wolfenstein, which has had
$60 to start though,
Right.
I mean, the way they're structuring
DLC,
games now is that, you get the base game for $60, but if you want the full experience, you're spending an additional $20, $30, $50.
Exactly. And it is, I mean, there is a certain point where, like, shelling out $80, $100, $120 for a game that, like, for me, I'll play it for 20 hours and then probably never really pick it up again. Like, I kind of see where the struggle is there, a lot of these games that haven't done so well this year, like Prey, for instance, did not get good marketing pushes. Wolfenstein...
I think a lot of that has to do with the name, too.
No, that's true. But I think the problem is a lot of the games that came out this year that weren't, like, didn't sell very well or whatever. I think a lot of those are actually really good games, though.
No, yeah.
Oh, they are. They're fantastic.
I think that's
Prey
the
was a
problem.
great game. Evil Within 2 is going through the same thing right now.
Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
Dishonored 2 was a great game, and it like none of them are doing as well as they would have had they come out 5 years ago.
But these are also not doing well in terms of like studio and publisher sales expectations,
Sure.
which I think for years have been astronomically high. Like
Right.
what was
they've been
the famous one has always been like the Tomb Raider reboot. They wanted to sell 7 million copies or something of that game. Like
oh no,
when does the game
on a console exclusive?
Capcom was disappointed that Resident Evil 6 only sold 7 million copies.
Yeah, that is outrageous.
It's crazy. But what I'm saying is, Wolfenstein 2 is going to be an excellent test case for this, because I can't think of another big, high-profile single-player game that has gotten the media push that
they've been pushing this one
had.
hard.
And
It has a strong media push, but it also has that serendipitous aspect of the media push.
right,
It's a
of
good
like
time.
pop culture. Right.
It's a good
marketed
time.
There's a little bit of
time.
like lightning in a bottle going on there, and I do agree with that. But what I'm saying is you can't say that like normal people who aren't necessarily at like the hobbyist level of gaming haven't heard about that game. Like that game is getting a huge push in media. Mm-hmm. It'll probably sell a little better because of that, and depending on how well that game does overall, I think will be a very clear indication of what the next few years of gaming are going to be like.
Yeah.
If that game bombs, if that game undersells, man, I don't know. All bets might be off for single player at that point.
But like,
the
very idea that like single player games would like people are talking like this is the end of the genre.
No.
Or like the end of
No, but you might see the end of AAA single player games. You might stop seeing games from EA, Activision, Ubisoft that are
I don't think
solely
that's
but here's the problem. Like at some point,
I'm
they're
not-
shooting themselves in the foot because like if they shift focus so heavily into multiplayer based games where they want people to play for endless numbers of hours, you're basically telling your audience to play this game and don't buy our next one because you won't need it because you have
But you're
this
also
one.
saying to that large portion of the U.S. that a lot of people forget because they live in big metros, fuck off. You don't have good internet. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Maybe they also need to start really rethinking how games are like priced and packaged.
I'm not saying they're going to turn off a faucet and they're never going to make them again, but they're definitely not going to prioritize them. They're not going to get the budgets that single player games get nowadays. Like Uncharted 4 was an excellent single player experience, but imagine how large that budget must have been.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're probably not going to
Was that game profitable?
much like that. What?
Was that game profitable? I can't remember.
I mean,
remember
I think it was, but a big part of that also had to do with the fact that they added a multiplayer in that actually did pretty well for it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
You're either going to see single player games with more focus on competitive multiplayer modes, or you're going to see single player games take a step down in priority and in budgetary.
Or there's the third, which is possible, which you still have the single player experience, but you've got that other monetization aspect, like loot crates or something like that.
But you also
Like Shadow of War. Shadow of War is probably a baseline example of what you could probably expect.
I think this would.
Yeah.
I think if anything, this is more like a precursor to like another dramatic shift in like how single player games are made. Like there was a time. There was a time when a AAA single player game was like a thing that like most of them were like, a 10 or 12 hour like super polished shorter experience, and then suddenly the budget's like ballooned out and like everything had to be a huge open world with like I can't like the budget on those kinds of games, like the budget of like a Grand Theft Auto 5 or a Red Dead Redemption is probably a totally different animal than something like The Evil Within. And
For
like
sure. Rockstar is a little bit of a
Rockstar's a
an
special case.
outlier.
So I don't have all.
But-
I'm just on out of curiosity. Uncharted 4. I'm just on their wiki.
Yeah.
The game came out in May of 2016.
Yeah.
As of December 2016, so how many months is that? 7 months.
yeah.
yeah.
It sold 8.7 million copies.
So I would say that's
Yeah.
probably
That's
profitable.
probably very.
It
profitable
did really
for
well.
them, yeah.
But I doubt you see that kind of performance from a lot of the big high.
But that was also an established IP. It had
Correct.
to build
This
up
year.
that. Yeah.
Correct.
And so what happened in 2016 means dick all if that trend changed in 2017.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, so I think that what you're saying about how they're made is definitely going to be true, and I think a big part of that is going to be restricting budgets. I think this is going to be something that like the big developers are going to spend all of their in-house talent and resources on these multiplayer games, and they're going to farm out or pick up independents to publish. They're going to you know, maybe expand, maybe give a go at doing that whole indie.
But a
Publishing
smaller
initiatives
budget,
that they were working on a couple years ago.
a smaller budget can get you, can get you with a game.
And Ultimate Inferno brings up a great point. GTA 5, we think of it as being a single player game with a huge budget. GTA Online made them way more money than selling that.
No,
game.
you're right. And I probably should have, but like that's also like striking the right balance. Like half-assing a multiplayer game and slapping it onto a primarily single player game
It's never a
may
good
not be an
idea.
option anymore. Like maybe maybe they might not invest in a single player story-driven game unless they can find a good way to.
I mean, I
to
think that
make a multiplayer
single-player games with
experience.
half-assed multiplayer modes went the way of the dodo last generation. Because you had games that, like Wolfenstein 2009, for example, its entire multiplayer mode was developed on an entirely different engine by an entirely different developer. And it shit the bed.
Sure, but I also kind of, and don't hate me for this, Chris Davis, but I also kind of lump games like Mass Effect with multiplayer modes in there that are large, maybe not bad multiplayer modes, but they're certainly forgotten about within like a couple months of release by the huge.
Mass Effect, that's also a different case because of how they structured how the multiplayer interacted with the single player and the actual function of that multiplayer mode, which was a 10 wave-based horde mode.
No, you're right. All I'm saying is I feel like there's a balance to be struck that can benefit them, that can benefit developers and publishers if it's found. Like I think they just have.
I'll tell you what's the more scary
This isn't going to change
scenario
overnight,
here.
but like you're going to see a shift in focus and like Crispy said, maybe budget on certain games, but like a smaller budget can get you an experience like the Evil Within 1. I keep using it's just on my mind, but like Evil Within 1 is a pretty tight, really memorable experience, and I don't know the budget off the top of my head, but I would imagine it is not the same thing as like Uncharted 4
hell no.
or whatever, and
Yeah,
like
definitely not.
and you can tell, but like that game is also really memorable, and I would love more experiences like that. I would absolutely love it.
Sure.
So to imply that like those kind of games are just going to die, which I think a lot of people are freaking out about.
It's not that they're gonna die. It's that you're just not gonna see it as much from the big AAAs. You're like that's gonna be something that's gonna slide more into the purview of the indie.
And Nick, I
sector.
think what Crispy's saying is that games like Destiny, those multiplayer games where they can sell loot boxes and stuff, those are way more profitable for big corporations than the
Sure.
single player games.
But
Because
also-
often what happens is on those single player games is they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on them, and then they might not make as much as if they had spent maybe 20, 30 million less and
Yeah.
then had that multiplayer element. Nick, it's just $1.
I know,
This
no.
box is just $1. But then when millions and millions of people are spending just a couple of dollars, that money starts
Yeah.
fucking
And also,
raking
think
in.
about it this way: a single player
Everybody-
experience. People, even if they even finish the game, which the numbers are not positive in that direction.
Yeah.
How many come back for DLC?
How many are going to come back for single player DLC versus having a multiplayer mode that keeps people coming back over and over and over again,
And
which
to
they
be
can
honest,
just sell you more stuff for?
think about it this way though too. Like if every major publisher out there had a Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Think of how many other single player games the money they're making from Destiny could fund. Like, if you had a continuous income of money from
But
one,
Nick, often that money
hugely
goes
successful-
back into that same game.
Yeah.
To make more content, to get more people to buy it, to
But
get
like-
more people
but
to
like-
play it, to get them to give them more money.
But like at some point, your audience is going to see that and is going to like react negatively to that. Like you have to diversify. You have to have like there has to be more to your company than just like this one thing, right?
You'd be surprised, Nick.
This is Activision, Call of Duty, and now Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, if they tap into something that's...
But Destiny is also a way more interesting. In my opinion, has become a way more interesting product
Activision
than
up
Call of
until
Duty.
May 2007 had a diverse selection of games, and they cut.
Wait, who? Who'd you say?
They had like a
Activision,
catalog of RTSs and platformers and sports games and action titles, shooters, everything. And then when they reorganized the company, they dropped their contracts with like over a dozen developers
Sure.
that were making really fucking good games. And what are they today? They're the Call of Duty, and now they're the Destiny guys. And they're only the Destiny guys now because they get a shit ton of money out of Destiny.
Hold on. So that being said, I think that could be beneficial. Because I think, like as you're saying, you know, these big corporations, they see where they can get their money at, and they close down these studios, and hopefully that just leads to more devs becoming independent.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing crowdfunding and doing stuff like that, where they
Crowdfunding
can, hey,
is going to be huge.
where they
and
can
finding
make the
private
game that they
investors.
want to make. Yeah. And
I don't know about that.
I guarantee you, you're gonna see plenty of that in a
I feel
No,
positive
you'll
light.
see plenty of that.
I think
but
this industry
whether
is
it's
going to fight back
successful or
tooth
not
and
is the
nail to
problem.
keep
Well,
that
it
shit.
depends on the game. It depends on if the
I
game
feel
is
like
good.
there's a lot of crowdfunding fatigue right now.
No, there definitely
Like,
is.
yeah,
like
but, like,
Swery's game,
At
the
some
Good
point,
Life,
something's got to give, though.
he couldn't fund it, so he's having to go to a completely different platform to
At
try
some
and fund
point,
it
something's
again.
got to give because a huge portion of this industry of people who are fans of the games, who play these games, who love this industry, are going to fight tooth and nail to keep this style of game alive in some form. So, like, whether you hate loot boxes or you hate crowdfunding, if the big publishers aren't the ones investing and funding these projects, so at some point the consumer is going to spend the money to keep that shit alive, right? I mean, to me, honestly, if loot boxes are what's necessary to keep the big budget AAA single player games alive, bring on the loot boxes.
I think we also have to acknowledge that there's a little bit of a disconnect. We all act really surprised about this because we look around and we talk to each other and we go, "Oh my god, there's such a demand for this stuff." You know, why are they taking it away? Like, why would they stop making this? There's such a demand. Man, if you want these games and you're sitting there thinking like, okay, I'm going to wait 6 months until it goes on sale at GameStop and buying it, I mean, that's why this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good portion.
That I mean,
That is a good
it
point.
sucks. I completely understand that position, and I do it myself. I don't want to buy a fucking $60 game day one without seeing any reviews. I don't have enough money for that to be practical.
Yeah.
You know, but I still want to play.
But that's the
games.
thing for me.
But
It's not even about
that
the money.
is-
It's about time.
But that is
not fucking time.
Exactly. But that is the issue that these publishers are trying to solve. So acting like that this doesn't make any sense is kind of ignoring how we
The
as
part we're playing in
consumers, spend our money.
And also, again,
Yeah.
remember, these $60 games, a lot of them, they're no longer $60. To get what you want, to
Yeah.
get the full experience,
It's like-
you have to spend a bunch more
But I
money.
mean,
It's like the entry
But
price.
that's what I kind of brought up. You know, I probably over a year ago. We had one really good year of games. And I was like, guys, this isn't gonna stop. There's so many developers now, and there's so many. It's just everyone wants to. They're people. That's their passion. But that passion is growing, and more people are wanting to make games. Think about 20 years ago, how many games were actually around?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just because there's been a shift in how games are made. So now we are seeing more and more games, which means people are spending probably similar amounts of money, but on fewer, there's, instead of this year, instead of being 10 games, there's 20 games. Well, I'm still only going to buy 5, but now instead of 50% of the games that came out, only 25%. So yeah, I think that's the problem, is like Chris is saying, there's so many games that like, hey, I want to play that, but I'm playing this other game right now. I'm not going to spend $60 on it today, not play it for 6 months, and then finally get
When
around
you really
to it.
start to dig into it, you really start to see why this is happening.
Yeah.
And that is
No, I
that is a
understand
huge
it.
part of it. It's unfortunate. It sucks, but like, and there's a lot of things happening right now that they're trying to do that automatically get labeled as gross and harmful to the consumer. And I understand why people feel that way, but like, it's easy to, when you start to think about it, it's really easy to see why this is happening.
Yeah, I don't think that we're at doom and gloom yet. I think it really sucks that Visceral closed. That
is also in general just not an uncommon thing to happen. It's never been,
especially for EA.
It happens. It happens in this industry all the time.
Especially EA will put down a studio within 10 years.
Not to mention,
they will
none of the
take it
people,
out back and shoot it in the head.
Not to mention, there are. If you looked at Visceral today, like I would be willing to bet that like almost nobody that worked on Dead Space was even at that studio anymore, or at least the original.
I mean, but there were people who worked there who did lose their jobs. Yeah, that's really terrible.
It does.
I hope they all land on their feet and that they're doing well.
If I remember correctly, they were talking about in the statement. They talked about the closure and like EA is making an effort to help shuffle them into other studios within the company, within EA,
which is great. So. I mean, it kind of sucks that they still work for EA because I heard working conditions at EA studios are probably about the worst in the industry. I don't know if that's still
they
true.
are. No, I two coworkers I work with on my team. They used to work at EA.
Yeah,
and they say they hated it.
Wow. They used to do a lot of their sports games in a studio in Orlando, and I met a few people who work there, and they're all just like
12 months
slave labor,
constant crunch time.
They have an office down the
is
street
not
from where I
uncommon.
live.
But yeah,
that's where I think my coworkers
there's
work.
larger discussions about crunch culture and all that shit that probably should be had. We probably don't have time for it now.
Hey, speaking of time, we started this podcast 2 hours and 45 minutes ago.
I know. Let me just say this one sentence and then we can stop talking about this. I don't think we're doom and gloom yet.
I agree.
But pay attention to how Wolfenstein does. Pay attention to how Star Wars Battlefront 2 does, because those are going to give you clear indications about how the industry is going to act for the next few years, and specifically about how EA is going to act, especially in regards to Star Wars. So see what the single-player campaign in Star Wars Battlefront is like. It might be great. It might only be 3 hours long. Who fucking knows?
Can I say to that effect, I don't think Wolfenstein's a good indicator. I think the one to follow is Metro Exodus. That's out in about 4 to 5 months from now.
I don't think that's
First of all, I don't know.
That's not a very well-established IP, but it is a full single-player game.
But you can't say that. You can't say this. Hey, this game.
What I'm saying is,
while it is an IP that's been around for a while, it's never been like an Uncharted. It's never been a game that sells.
What I'm saying is an established franchise that has had a tremendous marketing push that is mainly story single player focus, which I think Wolfenstein kind of fits that bill a little better than Metro does, especially since we're only 4 or 5 months from launch, and I still have not seen a single ad for Metro outside of a convention.
First of all,
you
say 4 to 5 months, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked that game comes out before mid to late last year. I think we're gonna skip the other two news topics we had. They were small.
Have no time.
They were small anyways. We'll maybe revisit them next week. Let's move on to Patreon questions. That is the big news topic I wanted to discuss. While you're pulling up Patreon questions, I just want to.
I'm already ready.
Oh. We have 2 new patrons.
At 3, right?
Oh, maybe
did y'all mention one last week?
No. So maybe
so
3.
Alex Mangum, have we mentioned Alex before?
No.
Okay, so Alex Mangum is a new one.
Yay, thank you, Alex.
Hold on. Wingless.
Wingless, which I believe is Wangless in chat.
And Donnie K.
Donnie K, thank you. Actually, Donnie K, I think, was from today. So
yes, today. Donnie K today.
Thank you guys so much for supporting us. If you're interested in supporting us, you can find us at patreon.com/4player. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we'll start getting the podcast out 24 hours early for Patreon supporters, and they'll be ad-free. So that'll be at the $1 tier, but that'll be starting next week.
Yep. And we have quite a few questions from our patrons.
Yes.
We spent so much time on news. So yeah, and every week we post a thread. Any of our patrons can ask any question they like. They get kind of crazy sometimes. Let's see what we have today. The Legend JP asks, what kind of beers do you like, and or what kind is your favorite? I really enjoy ambers and starting to like IPAs and porters as well. For me, I hate hops. I am not a hoppy guy. I do not like hoppy beers. I usually stick away from IPAs. I generally prefer pale ales. Pretty big fan of Blue Moon.
That's good.
Especially some of their summer beers.
Belgian white.
But I also do like. As I was talking about it the other day, the good thing about where we live in Texas, we have our HEB. For those who don't live around here, HEB is a pretty big grocer, but they also do like to do a lot of local stuff, and they actually have a section that features local Texas craft beers, and they sell them for fairly cheap too.
Yeah.
It's like $7 for a 6-pack, and I found some really good ones. But I generally tend to lean towards either pale ales or kind of like, you know. I will like a Hefeweizen from now or then.
I stay kind of middle of the road too. I like Hefeweizens, Pilsners. Darkest I'll usually go is like a Bock or an Amber Ale.
I'll do
or
a
something
Bock
like
from
that.
time to time. Yeah.
I don't really do porters or anything like super heavy. I just have a hard time with that. Being in Texas, there's a lot of really good breweries around here.
Yeah.
Being in Austin, there's thousands of microbreweries.
There's a lot.
Austin Beer Works is a particular favorite. Yep. I love they do a Pilsner called Pearl Snap.
Pearl Snap, thank you. That's one of my favorites.
Peacemaker's a really good one.
Where, have you ever had Infamous Sex Appeal?
No.
Oh, I love that. I got it from I can't remember the brewery. I got it from the Hideout.
No.
There was one IPA I had that I actually really liked, and I normally don't care for them for the same reasons. They're really hoppy. But there was one called Metamodern Session IPA that was really good, and I cannot find it anymore. I don't even know if it's...
I kind of tend to stick on either end of the spectrum. I actually do like hops quite a bit, so I tend to go IPA, especially when I'm out at if I'm out at a bar with friends or whatever, I tend to go IPA. If I'm like if we're all in like that, like, hey, let's go to a bar and have a few quick drinks. It's like I go straight to like Dos Equis is kind of like my go-to cheaper, lighter beer. But I tend to I don't really have I'm not devoted to any like particular IPA that I like. I just tend to, when I go places, I like to say, I like to ask what IPAs they have, and I just pick one at random and try it, and I usually end up pretty happy with it. At the Alamo Draft House, I've been having, this is actually I think from what is it? Not Austin's Pizza. I don't know. Do they have their own kinds of beer? I forgot where they said it was from. It's called the Electric Jellyfish IPA, and it's a local beer.
Nice.
No, it's from a pizza place.
There's an Austin pizza place that does microbrewing called Brew.
Hold on. Soul Printer, according to Patreon, you became a patron in January of this year.
Oh,
just by the
thank
way,
you anyways.
I think you might have changed your subscription recently.
Yeah.
But according to Patreon, I don't know. Let's go back to that podcast and see if we mentioned you back then.
But hey, thanks, Soul Printer.
Yeah.
Thanks for
And
being a
I don't
patron.
drink beer. I drink vodka.
There you
Simple
go.
as that.
Drink vodka.
Why not?
Like any good CS:GO or PUBG player would.
Whoa.
All right, moving
Wow.
on. Next question from Cobra. I recently had a heated conversation with a couple of people about the show Ruby.
Yes.
I was on the
okay.
defense about why I like it. My question isn't about Ruby, but it is about what do you guys do when you hear someone saying very negative things about something you like and are invested in?
I start
Dude,
swinging.
I get
does.
real fucking nasty.
Dude, so I try not to do that. I try to I'll try to say, hey, this is what I like about it. What don't you like about it? I'll see if I can change your mind.
I mean,
but to each your own.
You've probably
Like-
seen how a lot of us
it's-
react in those situations on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we do that. That happens a lot.
To varying degrees.
Yeah.
Normally I'm just real like, man, whatever. I don't.
Also,
I don't
they've
care.
only seen us, when the
I don't-
camera's on.
I don't trust a lot of. I personally have gotten into a couple disgusting arguments with people over stuff that we liked, and I always regret that because it really doesn't fucking matter.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I probably used to be worse at it than I am now, but like my thing now is just, if you like something, just own it. Don't don't let somebody else's dislike of something prevent you from liking something. It's just
totally. No, 100%.
I mean,
If you get joy out of it, fuck that other person.
if you can enjoy something, whether someone else doesn't or not, like the conversation will just be that much more pleasant.
To clarify, I do not regret the Batman game cover discussion at all because Nick is objectively wrong. And he just needs to know.
This is me laughing, but I'm screaming inside.
And I'm screaming in my own skull.
That was a great cover.
Like, if we turned off the recording right now...
I would punch him in the mouth.
Because he knows I'm right. And he can't do anything.
All right,
out at
moving
me
on. Moving on. Next
fucking hate
question
you.
from Sir Thomas Thipple. I know this question will apply to Crispy, but if anyone else can answer, feel free. How many Criterion Collection films do you own? I'm counting all films individually, including ones in box sets. I have, according to Sir Thomas Thipple, 89.
Oh,
Get on my
I
level,
didn't even know what this question
That is-
meant.
Unless you have more than me, in which case, good job, buddy.
No, not
I
even
guarantee
close.
you, Crispy and I's Criterion Collection combined
Guys,
They're like
is not
50
80.
bucks a pop.
Guys,
Yeah.
I have a question because I had to look this up when I saw this question come through. And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Criterion Collection?
I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it was like an endless list of things.
There's
I
a
was
lot
like,
of them.
What is
Oh,
this?
they've released a shit ton.
It has no relation to Burnout.
No,
basically,
I know, but like, what the
Criterion-
fuck makes a
Criterion
I have a few on my
Criterion is a
shelf.
company. Criterion and
get
Janus
that.
Films are an international film distribution company, and their whole thing is they acquire the distribution rights to classic film, like cinema, like things that they think are the Criterion. You know, like examples of cinema as art. They remaster them. They add in a bunch of like documentaries and special features. They usually go out of their way to try to find people who worked on the production, like directors, writers, producers. If they can't, because those people are dead. Because
a lot of the
a lot
times.
of these are really
Yeah.
old movies, they'll find film historians to do like academic sort of discussions or breakdowns of the movies. Like basically all those Kurosawa DVDs that I have are
Yeah.
all Criterion Collection because the man's a fucking artist. But yeah, it's basically like a film snob collection. You know,
I don't even think I've ever seen one.
you have. You just didn't realize it.
It's like,
you'll see-
I saw the question. I was like, how would I even know? Like, I don't. Like, I buy
They
movies
say-
all the time, and I just don't know what
They say on.
Have you seen a Wes Anderson film?
probably.
You've
I mean,
Probably seen a Criterion Collection
Yeah.
film. A lot of his films.
All of his are
Go into
his
the
get
Criterion
released on
Collection.
Criterion.
interesting.
I only
they're
have like
also
I only have like 3 or 4.
I think I have 0.
I've got a bunch. I've got most of the Wes Anderson films on Criterion. I've got a couple Kurosawas. I've got the Criterion for Fear and Loathing. I've got Videodrome. That's a really good Criterion collection.
wow.
If you like that movie, but that movie's real fucking yeah, that's rough.
I've only got one, so
What was the
I mean,
one
I've
you
probably
have?
got like a
what's
dozen
your
or something.
What's
but
your one, Chris Davis?
can you guess?
Is it a Godzilla movie?
Actually, his first Godzilla movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they do.
So
they do
yeah,
a
so
bunch of stuff.
to answer your question, Nick, it's essentially a company that says, "Hey, this movie is a classic fucking movie. It's good. Here's some nice shit with it."
I don't
The-
own
the
Criterion
stuff
because
that
I don't
comes
like good
with it-
movies.
The stuff that comes with it is always really, really interesting because usually they'll do like a film, like some of the commentary tracks will be like film scholars like basically giving a lecture about the movie while you're watching it, and that shit is
There's some really cool
so
stuff.
goddamn interesting to me. I mean, I'm sure
Nick,
you would enjoy it too.
The Criterion Collection is for film nerds. That's all. That
really
that
is.
really is a big part of it.
I just
I don't
like
go out of my
movies.
way to buy because, like Crispy said,
It's cheap
they're
film
fucking
school.
expensive.
Yeah.
They don't sell these for like when I find a Criterion Collection movie for like less than $20, I am fucking on that.
Yeah.
because they sell them for a shit ton of money.
yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, if
luckily,
there's
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it just if you're gonna buy a version of a movie that you absolutely fucking adore, you get the Criterion.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you buy it because you want to keep it.
I
for
have a
long
ton of
time.
movies that I adore. I didn't even know this
A
thing.
lot of movies
I didn't even know this
have
existed.
probably been released in Criterion. Luckily now, I live a block away from a video rental store. Yes, those still exist somewhat. Vulcan Video, and they rent Criterion collections, so
Nice.
I don't have to buy them anymore.
Nice.
But
All right, let's move on. We got more questions from Mr. Green Toast. What's the worst pain you've ever felt? For example, I once woke up with every point in my body hurting so much I couldn't move until I was helped out of my bed about 12 hours later. To this day, I have no clue why I felt like that. Even doctors have no
I think
clue.
the scary thing is that he doesn't know why that happened. Man, worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
That's hard to remember. I mean, for me, it's probably...
I've never broken a bone, so
Well, we can change that tonight.
I've got
don't.
I got second-degree burns on my or this hand, I think. Like both of these fingers were like one big blister on each, and like most of this part, that was pretty bad.
That's
I think besides that, I haven't really had too much that's like super painful.
I can thankfully say that I've never like broken an arm or a leg or anything like that.
Man,
But I can say that the one time that you wake up in the morning and you do a Charlie horse and then you roll over and
do a Charlie horse.
or you have a Charlie horse.
You wake up with a
which
Charlie horse.
already hurts like a motherfucker, and then you roll over and you get stung by a scorpion in that same spot.
Oh,
What?
It was not pleasant.
I did get stung by 2 bees and a wasp in the same day once.
That is.
That
Don't
sounds like
go
you're in the
there.
wrong place.
I got stung by 2 bees, and then I went out. I was walking outside to tell my dad that I got stung by the bees, and I stepped on a red wasp and it stung the bottom of my foot. But I don't think that's the most painful thing of experience of my entire life. I've probably had headaches worse than that.
You got something, Chris?
I've got 3.
Oh Jesus!
And I've never broken a. Oh my god! What's wood? I've never broken a fucking bone.
Am I the only one in here that's broken a
actually,
bone?
Actually, I kind of have, and one of them is kind of a broken bone, but it wasn't like
broken
it was
boner.
a finger.
I broke my fingers once.
When I was a kid, I was in Boy Scouts. We had a bunch of camping gear. I remember my dad bought a Coleman folding cot.
Yep.
To take on camping trips, and it was one of these ones where like you could ratchet like the head part up to like be like a beach chair or something like that. And I was sitting in it, and I fucking flipped the bar to unratchet it, and like my whole weight went back down on it, and I crushed my finger in the hinge of the thing, and it broke my finger, and that was. Up until that point in my life, that was the most painful thing I'd ever experienced, and that was fucking terrible. One time, I broke a tooth in the back of my mouth. I broke a tooth in half, but I couldn't feel anything, and I was like, okay, I guess it's fine, and I don't have any money to go to the dentist, so I'm just gonna live with it. About 6 months later, it finally got down to the nerve, and like it was so bad that like the night before I went to the dentist to get it like extracted, I couldn't sleep because it was just in like nerve like stabbing into my brain pain constantly. Couldn't make it stop. It was fucking horrible. And then the third one was one time I stepped off a curb. I might have told this story in the podcast before. It's the Scrooge DVD story. I went looking for a copy of Scrooge at Best Buy. Roommate's car broke down. We were sitting around trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I stepped off a curb into a storm drain and turned my ankle into the drain. That one was so bad that I passed out. And as I was passing out, I hit my head on the car door and the curb and woke up to like my roommate like slapping me in the face like while an ambulance was pulling up.
Oh my god.
But didn't break my ankle. I don't know how my ankle oh my god, the other day I was walking out of class and I stepped into a hole and my ankle turned again, not nearly as bad as the time at the Best Buy, but it turned again, and just the like remembering what that felt like almost gave me a panic attack. It was so bad.
Oh my god.
I'm a huge sissy.
That reminded me, I remember in high school, we went to go to Cece's Pizza after a football game, and I was sitting in the back seat.
Enough.
And I opened the door and I grabbed the bar, the frame of the car to pull myself out.
Oh no!
And the person in the front seat closed the door, and it shut. And it didn't just bounce off; it was locked. And she was like walking away, and my hands just stuck in there. And I'm like, I didn't like yell because I was just like,
guys, I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah.
Just like yeah.
I'm gonna pass out.
Hold on,
It's
worse,
so bad.
worse pain. Besides that, when I was 17. My girlfriend broke up with me. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, guys! Okay, I think I got it. I the first time I dove into a pool, and this like I went really deep, and this is how I discovered that I had a ear infection of serious nature. Dove to the pool. I got to the bottom, and my entire eardrum just felt it.
Oh.
No. This was when I was
this
like
was different?
This was when I was younger. That
was, you were like, oh, I felt this before. I know what's happening.
That was like the first time that had happened to me in like 10, 15 years. But the first time that ever happened, I jumped into a pool. I went down to probably like 10 feet, and it felt like my eardrum exploded. I was worried. I couldn't hear out of my ear, and it was I couldn't hear for probably like a long time. I thought I had lost my hearing in my ear, and it hurt so bad. But I literally had like a really large hole in my eardrum, and I was on medication for that for a while. But that might have been the most painful experience of my life. Sorry. All right, this is officially the life
worst. This is the worst question we've ever.
This is the most painful podcast ever. So let's go ahead and move on because we really need to wrap this up.
A couple more questions. Wingless has a very complicated question with a very short answer. With the closure of Visceral Games, due to the direction and tone of its Star Wars IP shifting from single-player to games as a service model, there's no hope for the games industry to return
he's hit doom and gloom mode.
to simple linear stories with AAA releases that drew me in and got me hooked as a young lad. To help comfort players on the bleak downward descent into paywalls, pay-to-win loot mechanics, and patented Activision matchmaking microtransaction software, what mixed drinks would you recommend as a favorite to leave these problems behind? Moscow Mules are my current go-to, but I'm curious to see what 4Player enjoys to consume in order to forget the dark and horrifying future of their favorite hobby.
Man, we've hit beer and liquor at this point.
Man, don't overthink it. Just a nice old-fashioned. That the bitters.
Well, I don't like bitters very much.
Perfectly encapsulate my bitter feelings towards the direction that the industry is going.
There's no simpler drink in this world than a screwdriver.
I bet say if you're gonna say screwdriver.
No, yeah, screwdrivers are fucking good though.
They're
Yeah.
great. They're great.
You can't
but
go
there
wrong
is
with a
also there are
screwdriver.
simpler drinks like. I mean, not
Just
simpler,
drink
but
your
like,
straight from the bottle.
Screwdrivers are like one of those inevitable inventions of human progress. Like it was gonna happen eventually.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like,
I mean, screwdrivers like mimosas are good. I mean, that's
you can
kind
go
of like
simpler than screwdriver though, just by the nature of it not having a special name. A Jack and Coke.
Jack and Coke's good.
It's literally just
Honestly, I'm a
Jack
bigger fan.
Daniels
I'm a
and
bigger
Coke.
fan of rum and Coke, to be honest. Personally,
Yeah, I like rum. I mean, I just over the years have become more of a whiskey
Jack and Coke
drinker.
has
but
more of a fucking like
It has a
bop
nice
to it.
It has a nice ring
than
to it.
Orange juice and vodka. It's like,
Yeah.
man, we really got to come up with a name for that.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Anyway, a couple more questions. Judd, I can't. Okay, just Judd. What creative uses of a Nemesis system do you envision for other games and wildly different genres?
You know what?
We've kind of talked.
We've
about
had
that
this question before, I think, in the past. But
have.
the more like playing Evil Within 2 right now, and seeing how that open world design has kind of been it's applied to a horror game. I feel like the Nemesis system might be really cool in kind of a more open horror game. Just fucking keep adding I can't imagine like running into like a creepy fucking monster or something in something like the Evil Within 2, killing it, and then knowing that that thing might just have it in for me and might be hunting me. And it might I think the key to it is it would have to be like the Nemesis system, not scripted. It would just be this, for whatever particular reason, this creature has it in for me. Maybe not in your game, but I did something to piss it off, and to have something like that hunt me down anywhere I go would be really fucking cool.
I like that idea, especially like the way it was framed, kind of your example from the Evil Within 2, where like maybe it's just like a fucking curse you get from something else. Like you just get fucking cursed because you touched the wrong thing in the world, and now there's a monster. But
imagine a world like Evil Within 2 where there's like a bunch of different kinds of monsters or ghosts or whatever, and any one of them can latch onto you and follow you and curse you, quote unquote. But like, what if each one of those creatures had like a special way of like killing it or getting it or breaking your curse or whatever, like, and you had to
you can't just like fight it, you have to
research and find out how to like break that curse.
Interesting.
Really dope.
Like,
You know what I was
That'd be
thinking?
cool.
One of the first games I can remember with a Nemesis system, where you keep defeating a guy and he keeps showing back up even though he loses. Pokemon.
God damn it! I knew,
fucking
Gary.
Blue?
Yeah, or Blue. Yeah.
yeah.
You keep beating him, but he keeps showing
He keeps
back
showing
up.
up. That would be cool if Pokemon had a more organic way to introduce a rival to you.
Yeah,
in the game.
instead of just
Like your rival
Pokemon.
might not be the same as my rival. Like, they had different-
It's just some like some bug catcher that you
Yeah,
find on the road,
early on.
and you beat him so bad that like he just goes off and is like, "Man, fuck you."
But
And
no,
like you run into him like way later, and he's like, "I gave up on bug Pokemon. I switched to fucking fire type because I'm gonna burn you down." And then you kill him with that, and then he's like, "Oh no, fire
That'd be pretty
sucks." And he
good.
has
The
to, like,
only requirement I will place
just, like,
on that
destroy his
is that
sense of
they
self.
have the exact same style of Nemesis intros when they come to attack you.
That'd be good.
Like you're hunting Pokemon in the grass, all of a sudden you hear behind you, "Manswine!"
That'd be pretty cool. I'd take that. Maybe that'll be in the new Switch Pokemon. Sorry.
pretty good.
Last
Final question this evening from Soulprint. Where do you see Henry 30 years down the line?
Oh, on this podcast.
hopefully with a college degree.
Yeah.
I mean, will that be a thing in 30 years?
Oh man, will any of us be alive in 30 years?
That's a good question.
Well,
God, this
will
just
be
got
any of
dark.
us alive in 5 years?
This just got really dark.
I hope he has one of the best jobs in the concentration camps.
Oh my god!
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I'm
god!
sorry.
Holy shit! That just went to a dark place.
Henry will be on Mars.
He could.
Fighting
That's
vampires.
weird to think about. Is like
No,
in
yeah.
his lifetime, there might be people living off of Earth.
Yeah.
Ah, that's weird.
That's for
He'll
some,
be the assistant to the lieutenant governor of the separatist nation of Texas.
Oh my God!
I mean,
All right, thanks
he
for
can't
the
be
question.
president.
No.
Because he's only 30, you fucking asshole.
I
He had to be
didn't-
35 to be president.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How do you not know
What were
how our
you
government
thinking?
works? I mean, it doesn't.
I don't
really.
Yeah. Well, there's that. I don't think about the. I mean, I guess I've heard that before. I don't know. I don't think about the age limit.
The
very
youngest
often.
president's, what, like 42, 43?
Kennedy was youngest, and he got
No,
elected
Kennedy
at
was
like
in his-
He was the
45.
youngest?
Yeah.
He was. Obama might have been.
No,
younger.
Obama. Yeah, no,
Obama
yeah.
was-
I'm thinking
no.
way too young.
Well,
can't
I
remember.
know. At least before Obama, Kennedy was the youngest, and he was off the age limit by at least a decade.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and Trump is the oldest we've ever had.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. He's in his 70s.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He also has dementia, and he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's
He's got-
it's the spray
Oh my
on.
God,
You can't
we're
tell because of
spiraling
the spray
into it.
on.
10-foot
He's
pole,
got
guys.
fucking poo brain.
Thanks for writing in your questions, everybody.
He's probably
Maybe-
he's
you know
probably
what,
a
maybe-
UT fan though.
Maybe
Or a Cheetos
technology
fan.
isn't
Yeah.
so far off. Maybe Henry will be doing the podcast with all of our sons and daughters.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Let's try and pass this podcast
yeah,
on.
let's end on that happy note.
Oh my God!
4-player podcast.
All right, we're
Next
gonna wrap
Generation.
this up as fast as humanly possible. We are
Generation.
going really late.
Hey, I can do a
blame-
4-player 30-second.
4-player 30 seconds. Go.
All right, my hype. Super Mario Odyssey fucking comes out next Friday.
Oh,
Holy
that's not a
fucking
hype.
shit!
That's not a hype.
Holy shit! I am so excited for that.
That's a
My
sweat.
second hype is Blade Runner. I'm finally probably gonna see it this weekend.
Nice.
No, I haven't.
My God, I'm so hyped for you.
Thank you. I'm ready. Sweat next Friday. Also Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yep.
This actually might be the first Assassin's Creed game I don't buy like almost.
That is the one I am
immediately.
starting with
Right?
of those
I-
3 games.
Yeah. So I'm worried. And then my fuck you, obviously EA. Fuck EA.
Cool.
That's
Chris Davis.
My first fuck you of the week goes to EA because, good God, you terrible motherfuckers, I'm never going to get appropriated space. My second fuck you goes to Activision because fuck Activision for existing, because I just remembered about all the wonderful games they had in 2007 that they culled, and all those wonderful games that got canceled. Because
I don't-
fuck them.
I don't even know what those are, but I'm probably better off that way. Keep going. 30 seconds.
I feel like my third has to go to Capcom.
You're doing all fuck yous this week?
You know what? No, I take it back. My fuck you goes to you guys for not letting me argue about blue reflection properly. Making me look
You
fucking
knew that
terrible.
was coming.
I tried to frame my argument and y'all just shit all over me. And my hype this week goes to Wolfenstein because I really, really, really want to punch Nazis right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to
And
the
that
club.
game had a fucking fantastic Twitter trailer.
All right, Crispy.
Boom, boom, boom.
I'll go last.
Yeah. So my hype this week is to continue and finish The Evil Within, so I can move on to Evil Within 2. Secondary hype is for Nolan to see Blade Runner because that movie's so fucking good, Nolan.
I'm excited.
Don't disappoint me. We'll go with 2 hypes then. So my sweat is for, oh my God, Mario comes out next week and I don't even own a fucking. Oh, I'm gonna have to sit here and listen to you motherfuckers talk about Mario Odyssey, and I don't even own the goddamn console. Oh,
Hey, if it makes you
handle
feel any better, I won't be playing it. I'll be playing Assassin's Creed.
I'll be playing
sucks.
Wolfenstein.
And my fuck you for this week goes to Ubisoft for those Assassin's Creed
Shoes.
Oh my
shoes.
God, those are
what
fucking
the
ridiculous.
fuck are those shoes?
They look so dumb.
That who would want?
Carlos.
Who would want-
Carlos. I'm betting Carlos.
That is a burden, not a prize. Like those shoes are fucking gross. Fuck you.
All right. My first hype goes to Evil Within 2. I'm looking forward to just binging it on Saturday. Robin's going to be out of town, so I'm literally just going to sit down and plow through the end of that game.
Shove it right up your butt.
I'm going to shove it right up my butt. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
That green hue's got to go somewhere.
My second hype, I'm gonna give to Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm taking the day off work next Friday.
That's another game, Nick. One of the reasons I'm not looking forward to it. Fucking huge open world.
Dude, that's why I'm looking forward. I mean, I
don't have time.
I know time wise.
Didn't you
I know.
start Ghost Recon?
You know, he thought about.
Or, no, you
I
haven't
thought
bought it
about
last
buying
week.
it.
Oh, because it was on sale for
yeah.
super.
So yeah, I am looking forward to Assassin's Creed. My sweat goes to I installed Hollow Knight. It is installed on my PC. I'm pretty sure I'm going to start that fairly soon.
Hey, do it. Fucking do it.
That's a pretty good game.
I know.
You gave up on
You know
the
what?
Switch
I'm going to
version?
start that game. I'm going to get like 10 hours in, and they're going to be like, by the way, the Switch version comes out tomorrow. I'm going to be like, fuck you. It's going to suck. That's my sweat that I'm going to get just screwed over. And I'll just pick another hype, I guess. Let's give it to. You know what? They finally put a date on the new Punisher series, and I'm surprisingly enough, I'm pretty excited to watch that.
Amy Hennig Star Wars.
It comes out the same day
As Justice
well, yeah,
League.
okay. By fuck you by default, obviously goes to EA for Visceral, but I'll just say hype Punisher. I'm surprised. It comes out the same day, I think, as Justice League.
Yeah,
and I'm
really?
more excited to watch the Punisher than I am
Doesn't
Justice
surprise
League.
me.
I think, unless by some miracle it comes out and that gets like great reviews.
I forgot a hype.
What?
Next Friday, Assassin's Creed, Mario, Stranger Things Season 2.
Oh shit! Oh god.
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
Oh fuck no.
You know Wolfenstein on that list, sir?
I don't have fucking time.
Yeah, you
Hey,
do.
hey.
Everybody has time to punch
Hey,
Nazis.
you know what's great? You know what's great though? We're all gonna be
I'm
playing
gonna play
different things.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, he'll play Wolfenstein. You'll play Mario. I'll play Assassin's Creed. That's three big
be a
games
good
to talk about
podcast.
on the podcast. It'll be great, and we can just hype each other up for the other games. That's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I know we went a little long. Thank you to Brad for showing up for a little bit. I know he's still on hiatus, but he came all the way out here with his son in tow, his son and his wife in tow, to introduce us and talk about Evil Within 2. So thank you for making that trip and getting me excited to play more Evil Within. 4playernetwork.com is, of course, the website. If you want to follow us on, or if you want to support us, you can please find us at Patreon at patreon.com/4player. You can also join our community Discord at discord.gg/4player. And, of course, we broadcast games every single night at 4pp.tv. Find us there. Until next week, though, I think we're done. So, good night.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.